Hi, everybody. It's Denise with Divine Soul Astrology, and today I'm doing the horoscopes for June. And I have all the 12 signs here, and the time codes or the timestamps are below, all right, with all the chapters. So you can skip ahead if you would like. So we're just going to start with the intro. And if for June is a good month, right? It's a social month. The sun is in Gemini until the 21st, and Gemini is a social sign, right? It's an air sign. It's very social. This is maybe why we have a lot of social events in June. We have weddings, graduations, and things like that. So the sun will move into nurturing Cancer on the 21st, and where the focus may be a little bit more family oriented, possibly, or kind of safety oriented, or kind of whatever nurtures us, right? Now, the Mercury is just entered Cancer on the 1st. I'm doing this video on the 3rd, but that's okay. And so, but Mercury has entered Cancer. And so Mercury is very important right now. It sure is. And also, we have Venus, I beg your pardon. Venus is conjoined with not Mercury, I'm sorry, Jupiter, and that's on the 9th, but it's already conjoined and it's going to make a perfect conjunction with Venus and Jupiter. So they're both benefic. So, we can say that's going to be a really good time. From about now, that is conjoined. The perfect conjunction is, as I said, on the 9th. That's when we'll feel it the strongest. But they're both benefics, right? Venus is love and the good life, material comfort and stability, its relationships and its beauty. It is also associated with money because of the material comfort that it, associates itself with. And so we also have Jupiter, and Jupiter is the other benefic. Jupiter is about everything that is big and dynamic for us. It sure is. Jupiter can exaggerate, but it can make things bigger, and exaggerating something really in a good way, right? It can make things grow and expand, right? And that's what Jupiter is about. It is the planet of growth and expansion. It rules wisdom and the truth and higher realms, higher education, and the truth is there, really. It's about our philosophy, right? Not necessarily higher education at the university, but just it can be, but it is about teaching as well. It's about publishing and faraway lands. Yeah. And Sagittarius is, Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces both. Um, but yeah, it rules growth and expansion. So that's why it is benefic. And Venus enters Leo on the 13th. And yeah, I think I might have mentioned that, but that's a really good one too. It sure is, right? And so Venus will be really supporting Leo. Leo is about love. It rules the fifth house of our talents, our hobbies, and our self-expression. It can be creative expression. It is about love and sex. It sure is. And children, everything that we do from the heart, that's Leo. All right. So the new moon in Gemini is on the 14th. And yeah, more Gemini kind of, more Gemini energy there. And Chiron enters Taurus on the 19th. So Chiron is the wound that we all have in our chart. And Chiron is where we can sabotage ourselves. So Chiron is very important. It sure is. But it's also where we can reflect and heal ourselves. Yeah, it is about natural healing. Excuse me, and healing in general, right? Why is it about natural healing? Part of the reason is because it has to do with our own ability to reflect and to make ourselves healthier. Yeah, it really has to do with that, right? Our mind has so much to do with our physical health and our everyday life, for sure it does. And then the sun enters Cancer on the 21st. Excuse me. And so we have on June 28th, we have Mars entering Gemini. So wow, that's going to be, there could be some conversations that get kind of maybe competitive or just kind of direct. That could happen then. But it's about a lot of other things. We can be going after the things that we think about as well. Like we can create new beginnings with our thoughts or, whatever we are really thinking about. Gemini rules our thinking. And then we have Mercury will go retrograde on the 30th. and of June, and also the full moon in Capricorn. I'll do a separate video on that, as I will for the new moon in Gemini, but the full moon in Capricorn is on the 29th, and Jupiter enters Leo on the 29th. But Jupiter is still in this kind of, it's still in a conjunction with Venus during the month, right? Where actually Venus has already entered Leo on the 13th. And so Jupiter is still in Cancer. It's still a conjunction. Some people want to, some people want to call it a hidden conjunction, right? Because they're in different signs. Yeah, and that's what we have. So let's get into it right now. And this is going to be for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. As I said, if you want to, switch ahead, flip ahead, you can using the time codes or the chapters, right? Very cool. All right, so all you do is click on the timestamp and it brings you to the next chapter. All right, and so yeah, we're just coming out of the full moon in Sagittarius for all of us, but for you, Aries, yeah, we have Mars is in your house since, I beg your pardon. So I'm looking at I'm still looking at the intro here. I beg your pardon. All right, the sun is in your third house of thinking, Aries, right? And so here, let's put you on the ascendant so you can see what's going on here for yourself. You can see your chart more clearly. And here we are. Okay, there you go. Okay, sorry about that, reading the intro or kind of, looking at my notes, right? So here we have you, Aries, on the ascendant, and the moon is in Capricorn here. And there's a lot of planets. There's a few planets there, but most of these are stars or asteroids rather, but there's a lot of energy in your sign, all right? So, all Aries can be going through kind of a lot, right? Because they have been there for a long time, right? Saturn and Neptune are still there. Now, helping you, really, Saturn is helping you with your structure in your life and discipline, and Neptune Neptune can help you, trust your intuition, right? Yes, it always has kind of, there's always a flip side or a pitfall of every planet, but we see these beautiful things here in your house, in your first house or in your sign. Part of fortune, at least on the third, is there, and that's today. But the part of fortune is where you thrive. So today, on June 3rd, if you're watching this, you're thriving here with balance and harmony by creating balance and harmony in your life, and also by seeing yourself. By Athena Palace talks about, or Pallas Athena. I can get them kind of backwards there, but it talks about understanding yourself, and so you can have more strategy in your life, and that strategy and more wisdom, and that strategy is conjoined with Saturn, right? And Saturn rules our achievement, our authority, but our discipline and our maturity. Yeah, it does. And Saturn is ruling your 10th house of career. So there you go. Your career is being supported. Also, kind of the authority you carry over your own life, Aries, um, like how you show yourself to other people, kind of your social status, your social positioning, is really being supported with Saturn ruling that 10th. It rules your 11th as well. And that is the house of the future, right? All right. So, now, yeah, and so Mercury is here in Cancer, and let's look at that. And your Cancer is your fourth house of home and family, right? So this is also your house of emotional safety and your emotional needs. So Mercury is there, kind of, and you're thinking about what is really kind of your thoughts could be on what supports your emotional foundation. So that's a really good thing, right? It's nice to be in tune with that. Um, yeah, and we have Saturn in your first house is making a sextile to Pluto. So let's look at that here. And Pluto is right here, and here's Saturn in your sign making that sextile. So there can be a chance for you to really transform, and it may have to do with, the responsibility you carry over your own life, career, fatherhood. But there is a chance for a transformation where you can move into your power. Yeah. Pluto also represents power, right? So you can move into your power regarding your future aspirations. All right. Now, and you can be able to turn something also negative into something positive. We have your natal Mars, and that is making it is making a square to Pluto. Let's find Mars, and Mars is right here in your second house. So we see the square here, Aries. It's making that square. Square is it's a challenge. It is, but it's a challenge where we can make an adjustment in our life, right? It's trying to tell us something, and so we have that there, and this has to do with your future. It definitely does. It can have to do with friends or like-minded people, social groups here, but the square is actually asking you to make an adjustment, and it will help support your well-being in your second house. It can be about your values. It can be about your money, the second house there, right? But Mars in your second house is definitely, you know, kind of asserting yourself or, putting yourself in your own power to have more well-being in your life. Yeah, or to, improve your finances. It can be as well. Now, Mars here is in detriment. So Mars doesn't like to be no, it doesn't like to be in Taurus, right? But with the square there and Pluto regarding transformation, there is a message here for you, kind of related to what I was just saying, right? And Mars is uncomfortable, so that can be, making that square like do something, right? Mars, this is your planet feeling very uncomfortable in your second house of well-being and material gain. That's your house of values and your house of well-being and stability, also self-worth, all right? So there's something that will change there that is asking you to kind of change, yeah, kind of asking you to adjust, all right? So let's see what else I have here for you. Um, yeah, and so we have Venus and Jupiter. It makes a perfect conjunction. I talked about that um, in the intro, and that will be in Cancer. That's in your fourth house. So it's right here. And as we move the wheel, we see it moving to a more of a perfect conjunction. On the fifth, it will be, Venus is going to be closer to in a tighter conjunction with Jupiter. And so this is in your fourth house of home and family. It's supporting you. It's supporting your well-being. It's supporting your kind of your self-care, your self-worth, your confidence even um, about about your relationships, but also your own emotional courage or your emotional well-being. All right, so that's a really good thing. It can bring you luck too with home and family. It can bring you because they're both benefics, especially Jupiter is, can talk about good luck. It can. So yeah, and they could be, with family relationships, but also anybody who that you feel like is kind of personal to you, or anybody whoever nurtures you, or whatever you feel like nurtures you, that could really help you there. All right. And, nurturing brings us our own nurturing or nurturing from others. It does bring us well-being. It sure does. All right. And the moon will be uh, yeah, we talked about Chiron or a little bit in the intro, but Chiron is leaving your first house, and that is, it's coming up. It's on the 19th, and so we have Chiron. Let's move the wheel a little bit here, and so we can see where Chiron is here right now until the 11th, until the actual 18th. It's still in your sign. Now it's at 29 degrees, and it wants you to kind of heal something, Aries, or overcome something. And it is conjoined with the moon in Taurus. And the moon in Taurus, it's important to, it can be emotional, but it has to do with our well-being, once again, because that's your second house, right? Your well-being, your stability, your financial stability, your comfort. And so there's some change here. In the moon in Taurus, it doesn't like change. And so with Chiron there, it's kind of telling Chiron, hurry up though, hurry up, because I kind of don't want to deal with this change so much. But Chiron will move into your second house. Very interesting there. You might feel a little emotional around around the 11th. Yeah. And so when Chiron moves into Taurus, yeah, I feel like it'll support you a little bit more because it's not going to be in your sign, or it'll be less, you'll feel it less a little bit because Chiron in the first house or the house of self can be difficult, all right? So it's leaving there, and hopefully there's some type of a lesson, because if you watch the intro, you'll know that Chiron is the wound we carry, that we often sabotage something, whatever house it's in. This is where we can sabotage ourselves, and we definitely don't want that, all right? No. Yeah, and I was talking about Venus. Venus is in Cancer, supporting love and care, self-care, and others, and your finance. Venus also rules your seventh house. So let's look at Venus here. So Venus rules your seventh house of relationships. It's in nurturing Cancer. So your relationships can be improving. I feel like I mentioned that when I talked about this conjunction with Jupiter, but your relationships can improve in the month of June, right? For the first couple weeks for sure. And even after, because, well, a little bit after, because Jupiter, not Jupiter, but Aries, Venus will be moving fairly quickly into Leo, but they will still be conjunct. Yeah. So Venus is going to be supporting also your talents. Yeah, your talents and, what you're good at and how you shine and things like that. Venus will help you do that, right? Um, hmm and Venus also rules your second house, and that's where your Mars is, right? And the Sun enters Cancer on the 21st, and the emphasis will be on family nurturing, more emphasis there, family nurturing and emotional needs and security. I'll do also we talked about the moon, the full moon in Capricorn at the end of the month. I'll do a video on that. So thank you so much, Aries, for watching, and now we're going to move into Taurus. And Taurus, the sun in Gemini is in your second house of well-being. So let's move the wheel back a little bit and let's put you at the ascendant more importantly. Yeah, and here you are so you can see your chart, all right? So Mars is in your first house, we see it right here, plain and simple, right? But Mars in the first house will get you going. Whatever is important to you, Taurus, your values especially, but whatever is important to you personally, you're going to go after it, all right, during the month of June, at least until enters Mars enters Gemini, and Mars moves into Gemini at the end of the month, yeah, around on the 28th. So here you are taking care of business, definitely. And so Mars, it rules, let's look at Mars because it's important. It is ruling your sixth, seventh house of relationships, Taurus, how you create, harmony and balance in your own life. It also, the seventh house rules legal matters, but it's in Scorpio too. And so, this can help you really, though, Mars in your own sign, really, at least, even though it's in detriment, very interesting. It doesn't like being there because Mars, yeah, because you're a Venus and Mars is the kind of opposite sign of Venus. Or it is the opposite planet. But here we have Mars ruling your seventh house of relationships. I feel like it's a good thing. We can call this an opposition. We can, but actually Mars is, it is supporting your seventh house. It is, all right. There could be something that you kind of learn about your relationships this month or how you kind of show up in them. That definitely could be happening. Mars is ruling your 12th house, Taurus. Hope I didn't say this, get back to Aries, but this is for Taurus. Mars is ruling your 12th house of endings and release. So, and look at all these planets that are here. So there's a lot that you are releasing. And, Mars there, that 12th house is where you trust your intuition. All right. So please do that. Neptune is there to support your intuition. Neptune is, associated with the 12th house. Yes, it is, as is Jupiter, but in the natural chart. So, yeah, and so let's look at Mercury here as well. Mercury is the ruler of the sun, and Mercury is here in your third house. I might have mentioned that, but briefly. But Mercury in the third house is perfect. It is thinking all about, all these thoughts, plans, and goals, ideas. It can be, right? Because the third house is the house of Gemini and Mercury, right? So yours is being ruled by the moon because yours is in Cancer. Uh, Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the month, it's in your 12th house. There's a lot of release here for you, as I said. But this Mercury here is ruling your uh, ruling your second house of well-being. So there's a lot of thoughts about what creates stability for you, Taurus, in the month of June, right? We also have Mercury ruling your excuse me, your fifth house of entrepreneurship. This is the fifth house of talents and how you shine, your hobbies, what you really like to do, what you're good at, and also love and sex and children. That's really and fun. It's the fifth house of fun because we have our hobbies and recreational activities there. It's also the fifth house of gambling in case somebody's listening and they gamble, right? And so yeah, and so Mercury is ruling this fifth house. Your thoughts could be about your creative pursuits or what you can create for yourself or how you shine, and maybe maybe that's important to you right now, but that is what's going on with Mercury, the ruler of the sun, um, for you in June, right? Mercury is making a sextile to the south node in Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Virgo is I beg your pardon, right here, showing the fifth house. But Mercury itself, as we move on, yeah, will make that, excuse me, Mercury makes the sextile to the south node in Virgo. So let's move forward here so we can actually see that. Um, mm. All right, so this is at 16 degrees, and it is, yeah, this sextile is actually, it's right here. It's in a loose conjunction, a loose sextile right here. We have this at 11 degrees. This is at more at the beginning of the month. Yeah, here it is. All right, on the 6th, in a few days. So we have Mercury making the sextile. So the South Node is about what limits us and what we need to move beyond, right? It's the familiar, what we already know about, we've heard about it a million times, or we've even maybe suffered about it, many times, because it does rule the past and it can rule anything that is associated with family wounds, and our roots, right? Past lives even, yeah. And so that South Node is, it can be about what limits us and lack. So we have the sextile, so there's a chance here for you to see something in your third house. You're probably going to see it really easily because the third house is thinking, and so is Mercury, right? Rules that third house in the natural chart. It makes the sextile to the south node, giving you a chance or an opportunity even, right? We can say for you to like let go of things that are hindering your self-expression, your creative self-expression, or how you shine. You're moving away from something, Taurus, here that has to do with your talents. Most likely, it can be about relationships. The fifth house is love and sex, but it's likely about your self-expression. Yeah. And Mercury is also related to our self-expression and how we think about that, right? Or the plans and goals related to our self-expression. Yeah. So that's a good thing. And you can be moving away from limiting thoughts that don't no longer inspire you. Yes, or simply, or maybe, things that you don't enjoy anymore. The fifth house is the house of enjoyment. All right, it sure is. And all right, so Venus is in your house of thinking. Yeah, right here is in your house of thinking with Jupiter. You could be thinking up all kinds of new plans and plans and goals to help you move towards your higher self because Jupiter is associated with that. It's also associated with good luck. Those are the two benefics, right? And they conjoin, make a perfect conjunction I believe on the 14th or the 16th. But yeah, well, actually on the 9th. So here's the 6th, and let's move ahead to the 9th. And here it is. And so they're both at 25 degrees here. Now you can see the wheel better. Sorry about that, you guys. At 25 degrees. But it's the sextile is there. The conjunction is there anyway. It really is. But it moves into the perfect one. Excuse me, on the ninth, this conjunction, it's not a sextile, they're together, they're supporting one another on the ninth, and so when it's more powerful, right? Now, Mercury, not Mercury, but Venus leaves, but it will still be conjoined with, see, Venus has already moved beyond, moves faster than, much faster than Jupiter. Jupiter is here, stays in a sign for a whole year, but now we have, we have a loose conjunction here. Let's look at this. Um, well, Mercury is actually, so Venus is actually moved forward now. It's in Leo on the 13th. So Venus loves to be in Leo. It just supports all your, it's going to be in your fourth house of home and family, and your emotional. It can be about emotional courage. It really can, because Venus is going to be supporting um, your self-worth and your own stability. Venus rules, values and also self-worth and well-being. So not only love and, and relationships, but personal self-care as well. So when Venus moves into Leo, this is going to be definitely supporting you, and that is on the 13th. All right. Yeah, and Venus is ruling your first house. So this is why Venus is very important, and it rules your sixth house of daily work. This is your or work and health and wellness, service, even like kind of helping other people and things like that. But it does also rule the sixth house is the house of obstacles because it's the house of, and yours is ruled by your own Venus, right? But the sixth house of responsibilities, the sixth house of daily practical obligations, all right? So that's why, and this is very good. This is, supporting your emotional foundation here, Venus, all right? So there could be things about your work here or your daily life that you're kind of, getting in order, so to speak. The sixth house is where we try to put things in order, right? We try to streamline and organize, right, our daily affairs and things like that. It can be our life in general for sure, because your daily habits make your life, right? They do. They create your lifestyle, or right, your habits, and of course your values and things like that. All right. And we talk Mars is in detriment, and Mars is in your first house. I don't know if I talked about that a lot. I don't think I did, because I forget to look at these notes. That's what I forget to do here, to refer to them, right? But Mars is in detriment in your, it rules your 12th house. So, Mars here, I think I mentioned this, but Mars here in your first house, uh, and you have Mars ruling your 12th house. There's a lot that you're unloading, that you're releasing, you're purging. There it is. There's things that you're letting go of here. Mars is in detriment here. Mars also rules your, um, rules your seventh house of relationships. I think I talked about that in an opposition. I think I did. Um, but yeah, and there's a lot good going on for you this month, Taurus. There really is. And so, yeah, we also have the sun making a sextile to Athena Palace. And let's look at the sun. And where is Athena Palace? It is in Aries. Yeah, you see right here. Um, and we can see it. I don't know why it doesn't want to show me that. It's just not. So it's probably because it's a little bit, the sun is at 21 degrees, and we can say that Mars is making that to Athena Palace, and Saturn, really, right? The sun is at 21 degrees, and so a little bit of a loose kind of sextile here, but nonetheless, it's still there. And the sun is how you shine. It is your self-expression, and is making that sextile to Athena Palace. And this is like asking you to, not really asking you, but it's helping you to understand there's a chance, or there is it's a 60-degree, and you can see it here, right? It's sextiling Jupiter, not Jupiter, but Neptune. But also it is in a loose sextile with these. And for Neptune too, it is asking you to, or giving you a chance really, Taurus, um, to kind of let go of things that you are not, that you were uncertain about, because Neptune represents the uncertainty in our lives, right? It's in the 12th house. So there's something you might have been hidden, that might have been hidden to you, or kind of unknown, and now you're able to release it, right? Because the sun is life, and the sun is our power. It is our life force vitality. Yes, it is. It's how we shine. So we have that there, and Athena Palace is here as well. And so this is also, um, Yeah, and with that kind of very loose conjunction there, but Athena Pallas wants you to see your emotional patterns because it talks about our wisdom in our life. Because if we are emotionally aware of kind of what we do, and right, we're empowered, right? We're wiser. So that's what's going on there. Saturn is also part of that sextile there, and this is letting you kind of honestly purge things, but with structure and form. Like you're not just throwing things out or releasing things. You're doing it with kind of this kind of maturity, and doing it kind of in a very kind of streamlined way with boundaries. Yeah, it's really interesting there. Mhm. And so now we talked a little bit about Venus and Jupiter supporting you. It's supporting your third house toward the middle, toward and Venus moves into your fourth house, supporting you there. It's looking really good here for you as well. Um, yeah, and Jupiter, let's talk about Jupiter because Jupiter is in this third house, with at the beginning, it's still there throughout the month until the end of the month. Jupiter moves actually into Cancer. Yeah. So, but here, we have Jupiter here, and it is definitely supporting Venus. They're supporting one another. Um, yeah, and so these are conjunctions, and we can use like a 10-degree orb there. I believe we can, but um, yeah, and so it's always supporting here, and but we have Jupiter ruling ruling your eighth house of transformation, and also ruling your 11th house of future aspirations in your social groups. The 11th house can be is the house of hopes and wishes. It's about gains from the 10th house. And this transformation here, there's a transformation for you. There definitely is. Uh, yeah, there really is here because Venus is supporting Jupiter as well. And then we see also Mercury right here. Mercury is it's a little bit of a loose conjunction, but it's there. And Mercury is supporting Jupiter. It sure is. And Mercury is your thoughts. It's in your third house, Taurus, supporting your ideas, your thoughts about how you can expand. All right. And Venus was definitely there to help you. It's moving on as we kind of round out the month. All right. So I'm going to end this reading for you, Taurus. I hope you've enjoyed my content. If you have, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell so you can be notified of my next upload. All right, or my next, video, right? So let's move on, and we're moving on to Gemini, and we'll put you at the ascendant, Gemini, all right? And Gemini, this is your month, right? It's your season, and happy birthday if you have any Gemini suns out there. And if it's your rising sign or your moon, that's okay. Happy birthday, right? Just teasing. But I have a Gemini rising, so I always feel like it's kind of right because when the sun is, even in your first house, like it is here, in case you don't have, in case you're not in case you are not a Gemini sun and you're in a Gemini ascendant, you still really feeling it, right? Yeah. And for honestly, for anybody with a Gemini moon, you're also going to feel that because you are, right? Now, we start the month with the sun's we have the sun's protection until the 21st, Gemini, okay? So that's a beautiful thing, right? The sun is life. And they say when the sun is in our sign that we feel more empowered because the sun brings warmth, right? And power, right? We grow our foods and right, of course, vitamin D and all this stuff. So the sun is a divine masculine kind of ruler of the universe. The sun and the moon are ruling the universe, for sure they are. So we have the sun there until the 21st, right? And yeah, and so on the 14th, we have the new moon in Gemini, and I'll do a separate video on that. But the moon and Pluto are trining Uranus, the planet of change, in your first house of self. So let's look at that here. Let's move forward to actually backward to the 14th here. And see, we have the sun and the moon, and this is the new moon, right? But they're making this trine, excuse me, to Uranus, right? Let's look at Uranus here. Uranus is in another air sign. I'm not Uranus, to Pluto. I beg your pardon. So, yeah, that's what I have here. Um, yeah, and so we have that on the 14th, we have the new moon. And so, the new moon is about new thoughts, new ideas, something new and something hopeful. It's a transitionary time, or, excuse me, a transitory time. But we have that trine to Pluto, right? As we see it here, yeah, and let's move forward. I think it's a little bit here. Yeah, but we do have a trine. We have a loose trine here. We have this conjunction, of course, with the new moon. The new moon is always with the sun. And here is Pluto right here. Uranus is actually making that trine. So I beg your pardon, you guys. So we have the new moon happening, and which is can be a time of change. Now we have Uranus making the trine to Pluto. Pluto is transformation, and for you, Gemini, it's in your ninth house of growth and expansion. It's in your ninth house of wisdom and long distance travel. This is the house of higher purpose and education, um, higher realms and things like that. It's the house of your philosophy. So your philosophy it's definitely changing about something because Uranus is in your first house, right? And that trine can help you move into this either new philosophy or something that's helping you grow and move forward in with the ninth house there, and Uranus in your first house. It's a lovely trine, and it will be there for some time because Uranus and Pluto is going to be in Aquarius until 2043, I believe. So that's a long, long time. But Uranus will be there for, another 6.5 years, or, almost 7 years, right? So, or 7. So we have that there. And so now we have the moon is in Capricorn. The moon here, as we move, I didn't put the date here. The moon is in Capricorn. That is, um, yeah, oh, that is a completely different day here. Yeah, it is. And I beg your pardon. I didn't put my note there for that day. But, um, yeah, I believe that has to do with the beginning of the month. For sure it does. So let's put the moon in Capricorn. It's in Pisces here. Uh, Okay, here it is, you guys, because I didn't write the note here, right, and include the date. But on the 3rd, which is today, actually, the moon's in Capricorn in your eighth house of transformation. And so, that moon there is that moon is, excuse me, you guys, let's have a look at it. It is making an opposition actually to Venus and Jupiter. So what this is in your second house of well-being. So something has to change here, and it can be related to this kind of whole, this trine that has to do with Uranus and Pluto. But this moon, the moon is moving quickly, right? We have the moon in your eighth house of transformation. And the moon in Capricorn wants us to be like serious. It wants us to, right, create boundaries and, discipline and things like that. It's serious. It can be about what we want to achieve for ourselves, our authority in our own lives. It's making this opposition to Venus and Jupiter in your second house of well-being. Venus loves to be in the second house of well-being because in the natural chart, it is the ruler of the second house, right? So we have these two benefics, and they are conjoined. They make a perfect conjunction on I believe it's on the ninth, yeah. And so they'll both be at 25 degrees. But Venus is supporting your family, your second house of well-being, your money, even Gemini. It sure is. That's good luck, especially with Jupiter in your second house as well. Jupiter is also good luck. It's a benefic. It's supporting your money, your well-being. Venus supports your relationships, and this can have to do with family. This is beautiful how Venus is in your second house with Jupiter in the nurturing sign of Cancer. That's very beautiful. And so the opposition here is kind of asking you to make some type of an adjustment for change. It's almost like you're being supported here with those themes I was talking about, and the moon is saying, okay, you're being supported, and the opposition, so make the change, make some type of a change, right? And be serious about something here, because you're being supported. You have all the right or all the support here because Capricorn is Saturn really is supporting that moon is being ruled by Saturn, in Capricorn. So Saturn is really supporting you there, right? Saturn is actually in your 11th house of future aspirations, Gemini. So that's a really beautiful thing. See, it's supporting your future there. So a good thing for you. It's in that 11th house. Saturn also represents your 11th house of growth and expansion, where we saw the trine from Uranus to Pluto. Okay, so yeah, very cool there. Um, yeah, and so let's see what else I have here on my notes, even though I'm not, using them that much. No. Yeah, Mercury is your ruler. We can't leave that out. Mercury is in your second house of well-being. Mercury is thinking up all kinds of new plans and or new ideas, right? For your well-being. Your thoughts may be around your skills. That could be happening there with Mercury in the second. Could be around family as well, right? And there we see Mercury. And so Mercury is also making a trine here to the north node of higher potential, fate and destiny, and your true potential. It's a north node. It is a place that is unknown for us. So for some people, it might be a little scary, right? It depends on what time in their life. But the north node is where we want to go. We don't want to stay behind with the south node. And we see the sextiles to the south node. The south node is what limits us, or it's of the past. It's the familiar, the thing that, we need to move toward the newer or higher potential, and the possibilities that we have in our life, not the past, right? The south node could be a limit, what limits us or lack, and we have a chance right here, Gemini, to leave something out here with the sextile with your own natal Mercury, doing that, yeah, making that sextile to, because that's what the sextile is, a chance or an opportunity, but you have to engage. It's like, it's like if you want to get if you want that winnings over there at the lottery, you have to go to, the office, right? The lottery office to get it, right? You have to pick it up. So kind of like that and show your ID, right? So here we have, and here it is trining this in your 10th house of career. So the Mercury trine to Jupiter to the North Node in your 10th house of career, it's really helping you. It's like an ease where you can move toward these long-term goals or career goals, or also kind of flex your muscle about your own your own authority over your own life. Yeah. And so you're kind of doing that. You're doing it with with your intelligence, right? Mercury rules your intelligence, of course. Now we also have Mercury is ruling your fourth house of home and family. Yeah, where this and the past, that's the house of the past, where you're able to purge things from the past, right? The past is only good, the past is good for memories, good memories, right? But the past is, if it's not there for good memories, it's there to teach us about what not to repeat or what doesn't no longer belongs in our life, right? Yeah, things like that. So very beautiful here. I do think that, and Mars as well. Mars is ruling your 11th house of the future, and Mars is um, actually in Taurus. Yeah. Actually, it's ruling your 11th house of the future, but it is in your 12th house of endings. So how good is that, right? So it's helping you to move forward with your future aspirations, but it is in your 12th house of endings. In other words, you're ending things. It's in a money sign. It's in Taurus. It's in the sign of well-being and self-worth. So there could be definitely things that you're kind of purging that don't support your self-worth or don't support your values, possibly, right? And Mars is ruling your 11th house of future aspirations. This is the house of friends. You might be kind of letting go of friends that no longer align with you, or people you don't really vibe with, or I can't think of the identify with, right? You might be letting go of. Interesting. I have a Mars. Excuse me. Mars rules my 11th house, and I'm kind of thinking that right now that, that maybe I'm not aligning with, certain people in my life anymore, and that's okay because we all grow, right? And it doesn't mean that they're bad people necessarily, right? Well, some might be. I'm just teasing, right? But yeah, it doesn't always mean that, right? It just means that we kind of outgrown them, or maybe they've outgrown us. Maybe they're, into kind of in what I mean by that is they identify with new things or other things that you no longer identify with, and that's what I mean by that. So yeah, and so yeah, and Mars also rules your sixth house of this is your house of work. It's also your house of health and wellness. And maybe you see things that no longer support your well-being, as I was saying with Mars in the 12th, because this opposition here that, there's kind of always an invisible, ongoing opposition with opposite signs. This sixth house is, Mars is actually in the sign of it's actually in here excuse me, in Taurus, but it's an exile there because it really belongs over here. It rules Scorpio. So there's something about your health and wellness, or your values that you don't align with either with other people, or they don't kind of no longer you no longer, I beg your pardon, Gemini, you no longer identify with that supports your work or your daily habits, your daily routines, all right? This is the sixth house of daily routines and obligations. You may have new ones. You may have new or new habits that you are incorporating um, right now with the astrology, all right? That really does support your daily life, right? This is also the house of obstacles. Yeah. So very beautiful. And we have the full moon. We have your new moon on the 14th, Gemini. Can't forget that. I'll do a separate video on that. We have the full moon in Capricorn at the end of the month. I will do a video on that. Um, but yeah, that's all I have for you today, Gemini. And well, it's looking really good for you, though. It really does. It always does, really, when the sun is in your sign. I mean, for the most part, right? Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed my content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell. All right, I would really appreciate that. So Cancer, let's talk about Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The sun will move into your house or into your sign on the 21st. So this is an important month for you. June is an important month for you. And let's put you on the ascendant. Don't pay attention to the IC and the DC. They've all been moved. The IC, the DC, the MC, and the AC. They've been moved, but nothing else has been moved here except I'm putting you on the ascendant. All right. And here you are, Cancer. All right. So your sun, the sun is in your 12th house of ending. So, during Gemini season, you realize that some things are ending for you, things are changing for you, or you're ending or purging or releasing or even sacrificing things that no longer align with you. Okay. Now, yeah, it's interesting there, of course. And this happens every year. But the 12th house is a hidden house. So whatever you're purging, Cancer, right now, maybe you couldn't see it before, right? That's just kind of these are the hidden houses are the 12th, the 4th, and yours is in Libra, and the 8th, and yours happens to be in Aquarius. All right. So yeah, so anyway, moving along here, right? And you could be like letting go of things that you've lost or things that remind you of loss, right? Not lost, yeah, but things that remind you of loss. You're like, oh no, those things need to go, right? We all do that, right? We all move through life and purge and release as we grow and evolve, right? Yeah, and so the sun can illuminate that about what represented loss for you, possibly. And Mercury is the ruler of the sun, Cancer. So let's look at Mercury. Right here, Mercury is in your actually in your sign, in your first house. And I'm doing this video on the third. Right now, the wheel is on the third, but um, Mercury has moved into your house on the first, right? Here it is already at 3 degrees while we're doing the video. And Mercury is our thinking, right? It also represents your 10th house. So you're thinking here about what needs to go. That's interesting, right? You could be really trusting your intuition with the sun in your 12th house, I would say. and the Mercury in your first house, right? You guys are intuitive by nature, Cancer. I think everybody is, but you know, the water signs are, you know, they are because water is associated with intuition and reception, yeah, and flow. It sure is. So we have Mercury though in your first house, and yeah, and Mercury is ruling also. Let's talk about Mercury because it's the ruler of the sun and also rules your third house of thinking. And so this is why they say Cancerians can be very intelligent. Yeah, because Mercury, the sign of intelligence, the planet, is ruling your third house of thinking. It's like in its natural house because in the natural chart it rules the third and it rules the sixth house. So here we have it in Virgo rules the sixth house in the natural chart, but Mercury here is making a sextile to the south node. So definitely you're approaching things. You're approaching old ideas, maybe old goals. The third house can be associated with goals, skills, ideas, plans, and things like that. Yeah, there's a sextile there. Interesting about the third house too. It does represent siblings. So, you know, as does Mercury, right? But there could be something you're kind of uh, like letting go, but it can create an opportunity that has to do with, or a sibling possibly is letting go of things that no longer align with maybe with you. That's really interesting there because the third house is the house of siblings, right? Um, yeah, very interesting there, I would say. Yeah. So, anyway, but you're letting go of old ideas for sure and goals. All right, Venus is in your first house, and Venus is a benefic. It provides blessings, right? And so does Jupiter. Jupiter is the kind of greater benefic. And Jupiter is in it's been in your sign for a year. It's going to leave on June 30th, or is it the 29th? On the 29th, actually, but at least here in the States, right? But we have, you know, Mercury, not Mercury, but Venus and Jupiter. And so they're supporting one another, two benefics in your first house. How beautiful is that? So this is a beautiful month for you. I would definitely say it sure is. Um, you know, although sometimes they say the sun in the 12th house can be kind of difficult because it's so far away from you. But that, looking at your astrology here, I would say, you know, today we're trumping that, right? Or the astrology here is especially with Venus and Jupiter in your first house, all right? So, yeah, you might have really big thoughts this month as well because, you know, the sun is ruling Gemini here, and Mercury's in your first house, but on how to expand and grow possibly, right? Um, yeah, and about your higher purpose that could be here. And, you know, this Venus is supporting you, supporting your self-care, supporting your self-worth. It is supporting your money, your relationships especially in your first house with Jupiter, all right? So Venus, let's look at Venus. It rules your fourth house of home and family and emotional needs. Beautiful Cancer for you, right? Yes, it definitely is. So this is going to make a perfect conjunction on the 9th of the month, and it's already in conjunct with Jupiter, right? They're just close, but they're going to move into a perfect conjunction. And here we see it here. Uh, oh, let's move here on the 9th. And here they are, both are. They're both at 25 degrees. So that's when it is most powerful. I would say on the 9th, you're probably going to be feeling like, woo, on June 9th, right? You know, it can depend, right? The moon will be in Aries for you. Um, And so the moon will be in your 10th house of career that day. Wow. I feel like that's good, right? Let me see if there's making any kind of, no, it's not. But um, I wanted to see if there was any kind of moon interaction you know, and with Jupiter and Venus, right? Venus eventually moves into your second house of well-being where it will support you. Again, it will your money, your relationships, your well-being. Um, and as I said, Venus rules your fourth house. It also rules um, it also rules your 11th house of Future aspirations. Yeah, very good, Cancer. Your astrology, the climate here is very good for June. Mars happens to be here though, and Mars is interesting. Mars in the 11th can really help you move forward because the 11th is future aspirations. And you may also, there could be friends here because Mars is in detriment in your 11th house. There could be friends here or people you no longer associate yourself with. That can be the case. Yeah, it could be with Mars in detriment in your 11th house, right? Um, wow. But Venus and Jupiter are both supporting your 11th house. They are future aspirations, all right? Now, Jupiter is ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion, and it's been supporting you all year. I find that to be very beautiful. Yeah, and Venus is supporting, and excuse me, and Jupiter is also ruling your sixth house of daily habits, obligations, right? Daily obligations, your lifestyle, and also obstacles. So Jupiter is kind of, we have the trine also to your sixth house. Um, yeah, interesting. But Jupiter is supporting your sixth house. It is. You also have, this Black Moon Lilith here, and this is your work as well. The sixth house is your work, your health and wellness. You do have Black Moon Lilith there, and in your sixth house, it's been there for a while. It's just telling you to drop the habits that don't support you. I don't know, smoking, drinking, whatever it is. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be those two. No, for sure it doesn't, right? All right. So, yeah, you're moving away from. So you're doing that though. I believe you are. We have the trying to, not necessarily to Lilith, but here is Lilith, and it is making an opposition. There we go. The sun is opposing. I probably have that here in my notes, but I just get kind of off on the notes. But the sun is opposing Black Moon Lilith in that sixth house, you see? So the sun is illuminating something for you about your habits, most likely, or maybe about your philosophy. There could be something here, some type of habit possibly that is um, kind of hindering your growth and expansion or kind of, negative for your philosophy. That could be because Sagittarius rules philosophy. And the sun is asking you to make some type of an adjustment. And you're doing it. And why do I say that? Because the sun sits in your 12th house of endings and release, of purging. So you're doing that, and that's a good thing. All right. And on the 14th, we have the new moon in Gemini, and that takes place in your 12th house, showing you new things and also letting you release more, even more it can be, right? All right. So, yeah. And then we also have for you, Cancer, Chiron is entering Taurus on the 19th. And Taurus is your 11th house of the future, right? Chiron, I may do a separate video on that because it is important for all the 12 signs and all the 12 houses, right? Or the houses really. It's moving into the sign of Taurus. And, Chiron is where we sabotage ourselves. So honestly, when Chiron moves out of Aries, the sign of the self, in my opinion, I just think it's better, right? But it's moving out of your house of career and into your house of on the 19th. There it is. Well, this says the 20th. That's okay because we're looking at the different hours, right? We're not precise on the hour, but it's moving there. It's going to be there for some time. It's moving into your 11th house of the future. So, but Chiron, although it represents a wound where we can kind of sabotage ourselves, it also represents the ability to heal with your mind or your intuition, with reflection, right? Yeah, and so it can be also a sensitivity or a vulnerability. It's moving into, yeah, that 11th house of the future. So there's something that, that you may be able to definitely kind of, do there with that healing, right? And there is a square on the 20th from Jupiter and Venus to Chiron. Oh, no, more so Jupiter here. We have this square. We can give it a 10-degree orb. Uh, Yeah, we also have it from here from Venus, but the square is what it's doing. The square is asking you to make an adjustment for your well-being, um, because that's not Venus. That is actually Mercury. I beg your pardon. Mercury always has the hat on. Venus almost took the hat off, right? It's the feminine. But we have Mercury and Jupiter on the 20th. And Mercury is really important because Mercury is the sun's in Gemini until the 21st in your 12th house of endings and release. And also the new moon on the 14th. So there's a lot of Gemini energy there still. So Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Mercury and Gemini right here, Mercury and Jupiter right here in your first house, giving you ideas to grow and expand. It is like you're receiving, maybe downloads, but basically you are experiencing wisdom in your life, and it does have to do with your ability to move forward, your ability for your future aspirations, right? Because it's making a square to Chiron in your 11th house of like-minded people, but future aspirations, right? And this is where you can also maybe kind of moving away from friends, Cancer, who don't support your well-being because it's in Taurus, right? And Taurus is about your well-being. So very interesting there. And we have the full moon at the end of the month in Capricorn. I'll do a video on that. Jupiter's leaving your sign on the 29th, but don't worry, it's moving into your second house of well-being and financial stability. So, and self-worth, possessions, and material comfort. So don't worry about that because Jupiter can really support you there. So thanks so much, Cancer, for joining me here today. And I'm going to move on to, if you liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. That really helps other people see this video that maybe you really want to hear their astrology, right? Of course, right? So let's move on here, and we're going to move on to a Leo, and we put Leo at the ascendant. Leo, we have here, yeah, we have you on the ascendant. And yeah, and so in the first part of the month, Leo, we have the sun in Gemini, right? Let's move this back here just to we have the sun in Gemini. I'm doing this on the third, so I'll just pull the third up here. But what I really wanted to show you was, was, the ascendant on the wheel so you could see what's going on. You have a lot of activity in your 10th house. We see a lot of, excuse me, a lot of these asteroids. We have Saturn and Neptune here. Saturn and Neptune are so they're so different, but I believe that they support one another. Neptune can be about our uncertainty, but also our intuition and our visions and our hope, our hope for those visions and those dreams. It's compassion, right, and creativity. And Saturn is the kind of the teacher. It is our discipline and our our commitment, our seriousness, our achievement in our own life, our authority over our own life. So for me, they are supporting one another in the sign of, even though they're not conjoined anymore, right? Neptune's at 4, Saturn has moved on uh, to the 12th degree of Aries, but it's in the sign of the self, and in your 10th house of that's your ninth house, I beg your pardon, in your ninth house of growth and expansion. That's a beautiful thing. I really feel like that, right? So we have Leo, we have Chiron in the, at the beginning of the month. Chiron is a wound we all carry that wound can create self-sabotage, where we can sabotage ourselves, right? It's moving out of your ninth house of growth and expansion, but the south node, Chiron is actually trining the south node. A trine is favorable. A trine is a support because it's interesting how it's at 29 degrees and it's making that trine. It's actually in a fire sign, but it's trining the south node in your second house. Your second house is your house of well-being, Leo. All right. So giving you, like, making it easy for you to let go of things that don't support your well-being, all right, that maybe have to do with, that are very personal. It's still in the personal sign. And let's talk about the sun now, because that is your natal planet, right? I'm kind of, skipping around a little bit, but your natal planet or luminary is the sun. It's not really a planet, right? But it's in your 11th house of future aspirations. I think I mentioned that. That is beautiful there. And the sun, which is ruling, Mercury is the ruler of the sun, while it's in Gemini, is ruling your second house of well-being. You see, that's what I mean about Chiron making that trine. You're doing something here, and the sun is showing you to do that. The sun, your natal sun, is showing you to let go of things that don't support your well-being or don't support your financial stability as well. That can be the case there. Um, and the Mercury is ruling the second house. And also, Mercury, where is Mercury? Because Mercury is important. It's in your 12th house. So you know what you need to purge, what you need to release. Very interesting there. Um, and so, yeah. And we also have Venus. Let's look at Venus now. Venus is opposing Pluto. And Venus is right here at the beginning of the month. It moves out of Cancer later in the month, and Venus enters your sign on the 13th. Let's move toward the 13th. Venus is opposing Pluto. Pluto is in Aquarius, and it's over here. Um, yeah, let's move forward, and we may be able to see that actual opposition here. Okay, so here's the quincunx, and let's move it over to the actual opposition. Uh, Yeah, very interesting. But let's look at Venus here. Here it is, opposing Pluto. I beg your pardon, you guys. It happens on the 10th. Um, but yeah, and so this opposition is showing you between your seventh house and your 12th house of endings, Leo. Venus is making that opposition from your 12th to your seventh house of relationships. There's something that you're ending here. You're some type of attitude toward relationships, the seventh house, or how you create harmony and balance in your life. That could be going on because the South Node is in your house of well-being. So yeah, and this Pluto too, Pluto has to do with crises. It has to do with transformation. It also has to do with power. Um, it does. So there's something here that you're being asked to kind of let go of here, or to change, to make an adjustment really about either your well-being and your relationships. And remember, Venus does represent relationships and love as well. All right, well-being. And so there's some type of adjustment that you're being asked to make there. All right. And Venus is the ruler of your third house of thinking. So, yeah. So yeah, so you definitely know what's important for you. You do. Venus is also, and Venus ruling your third house is in Libra. So there could be a lot of things that have to do with relationships that maybe you're rethinking or you're releasing or your perspective is different, right? It is being supported by Jupiter. Jupiter is supporting Venus there. And Venus is ruling your 10th house of career, but Venus, this 10th house in Taurus, right? The 10th house is also the house of how you show yourself to other people. Kind of like your reputation, your social status, or your social role. It can have to do with, divorce and marriage and things like that, but there's many other social roles. It's really how we kind of show ourselves, uh, our role, and how we do that in the world, right? It can be how other people see us. So Venus is ruling that 10th house, and Venus is supporting you from your 12th. All right. And this is a hidden house. So whatever is going on with you right now, you might not have been able to see it prior. Okay. And so, but it is showing you, this can be showing you how you show up in relationships, and themes of self-worth and stability, well-being, and things like that. It can be. All right. Now, Jupiter is in your 12th house as well. Jupiter and Venus are both helping you to, because they're benefics. I believe they're helping you to trust your intuition. The 12th house is not just the house of endings and release. It's where we imagine our future. It's where our visions can come from. Deep in the psyche, the 12th house is the psyche because it's a hidden house. Anything that is hidden in astrology refers to the psyche, yeah, or sometimes when people are trying to hide from us, it can. Um, so yeah, and so, but you're being supported here. And with Mercury in your 12th house, you're definitely not being kind of overly trusting, or like you're more certain about things. Yeah, you are definitely more certain. So, because the 12th house can be also, Leo, where we kind of, where we can just kind of trust things without really thinking about it. We can be naive. Mercury is there saying, oh no, we're going to trust our rational mind in some way. But you are definitely more intuitive about kind of what works for you and what needs to go. All right, especially as we discuss relationships, growth and expansion, right? Because here is it is making a square to this ninth house. Yeah, and so, and that is asking for an adjustment in order to kind of grow and expand and move forward and kind of reach your true potential. The ninth house has a lot to do with it's our higher potential, right? Now, Jupiter is ruling your, let's see where Jupiter is ruling your eighth house of transformation. You see, there we go. Profound change, intimate relationships, shared assets, or other people's money, which can be real estate. It can be 401ks. It can be the money you earn with a partner or a business partner. It doesn't. And so it also rules Sagittarius, and that is your fifth house of self-expression. So your self-expression is really being supported, your creative self-expression. There may be something that you need to leave behind here with the Lilith is still in your fifth house in Sagittarius. Lilith has a long transit. Yes, it does. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's okay. Lilith is your shadow, and it is in your fifth house of self-expression, your talents, how you show yourself to the world, how you shine. So there's something here that is kind of being, that needs to be kind of confronted, or it's been there a while. Maybe you already kind of know that. There is a trine Lilith is actually making a trine to, the moon is actually trining on the 10th. Um, Wow, it's making a perfect trine at both at 19 degrees. Look at that. And also Athena Pallas in your ninth house of growth and expansion. And the moon is illuminating something there for you and making it easy for you to leave some type of shadow aspect of your personality behind. I feel like that's a very beautiful thing. I do. And so, yeah. And so I think that's all I have for you, Leo. And except the moon will move into, excuse me, the moon, not the moon, but the sun enters Cancer on the 21st. Here we have it in your 11th house, right at the beginning of the month. But on the 21st, let's move this forward so you can see the sun rather is in Cancer on the 21st in your 12th house, showing you more uh, kind of, giving life to your intuition and your imagination. Remember, the sun rules your self-expression, right? That's why Leos are so self-expressive and talented. They can be very, artsy and right because Leo, the sun rules the fifth house of creative pursuits. So, you could be really thinking about your creative pursuits as it moves into the sun moves into your 12th house, right? Um, and maybe you're really trusting your imagination or your intuition about that. Mercury will be there on the 21st still to guide you, right? Because Mercury is the brains. It rules your 11th house of future aspirations. Very good. Mercury will be in a sextile, not a sextile, but a conjunction with Jupiter, the great malefic. And then Jupiter moves into your sign, and that is on the 29th of June. So Jupiter will be supporting you there. Very beautiful, Leo. And thank you so much. If you've enjoyed my content today, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back with another video. Hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. And yeah, and I'm going to move on right now to, um, excuse me, to Virgo. Thank you so much, Leo, for watching. The Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And so for you, Virgo, Mercury is your natal ruler, right? Mercury is the ruler of the sun while the sun is in Gemini, right? The sun will be in Gemini until, until June 21st. And right now, I'm showing June 21st right now, but we're going to move the wheel back. I do have you on the ascendant, so you can see yourself, basically. And the sun is in your 10th house right now. And the 10th house is the house of career. It's the house of how you show yourself to the world, like your social role, social positioning, your status, kind of your reputation as well. It can be. And it is where you have authority over your own life, like you're being your own kind of leader, so to speak, right? It rules achievement, authority, and ambition. So that's where the sun is right now. So the emphasis may be on social roles or career, in short. Okay. Now, wow, we see this big square here too. And we have the ascendant is, sorry, but the square is coming from the AC, and so going to the MC, very interesting here. And this is the ascendant is, the first house or the ruler, the motivating kind of energy here, and it is to the MC, the 10th house. And that's, that square though is just saying that right now you are, or at least on the fourth, that square will be there for a little bit. But, that is talking about there's some type of adjustment you're trying to make about your career or about your social role. And the social status can be, divorce or, divorce or marriage. And that's just one example of that. All right. Now, Mercury is your ruler, and it has moved into Cancer on June 1st. I'm recording this on the 3rd. Yeah, but it doesn't, it's nothing has changed, right? Except the fact that Mercury has really moved into nothing really, pressing here has changed except that Mercury has entered Cancer. So, and Mercury rules your first house and your 10th, as I was saying, and Mercury is actually the beginning of the month, it's in Cancer, right? And Mercury moves later on, I believe, as Mercury is entering Leo, I believe, later on in the month. That looks like it's going to happen actually in July. And the interesting thing about Mercury, it's going retrograde at the end of the month, right? The last day of the month. Very interesting. But right now it's direct. And so Mercury's in your 11th house of future aspirations. So you look to me, Virgo, you look like you're something new here for you as it relates to your 10th house. And your 11th house is the house of future aspirations. It's the house of hopes and wishes and gains from the 10th house, right? The sun is shining down or in your 10th house of that career and social roles. Now, also, Mercury is there. Um, and so your thoughts could be on home and family. That's a possibility because Cancer is home and family. It is. It also has to do with your emotional roots. All right. That 11th house also has to do with like-minded people. So maybe there is something, your friends and like-minded people, social connections. So there can be something going on there that you're purging really because Mercury is making that's actually a sextile here to the South Node, which can be a chance for you to let something go or move away from something that is lacking. It may have to do with friends and anything that is in that 11th house, all right? Yeah, it was Mercury's making that sextile, emphasizing thoughts once again about the future, all right? Or things that kind of, make you feel like things that you feel like maybe are limiting you. On the 9th, we have Venus and Jupiter, I beg your pardon, and they are forming a perfect sextile, a perfect conjunction. I don't know why I keep writing sextile there. And let's look at the 9th, because actually it's happening right now. Right now, on the 4th, we can see that Mercury is not Mercury, Venus. The ruler of love. It's a ruler really of love and the good life. Yes, it is. Um, but it is conjoined with Jupiter, but it moves into a perfect conjunction on the 9th, and that means it'll be, very powerful that day. But we have it already ongoing toward the beginning of the month. We do. And so Venus is a benefic, and so is Jupiter. They're in your 11th house of the future. So you have good things supporting your future, right? You do. And Mercury is kind of telling you to be smart about it or having you think about it or make plans, right? Mercury has everything to do with the mind, plans, goals, decisions, communication, learning. It sure does. So we have Venus there, right? And Venus is ruling your ninth house, and we can see it here. So we'll start with Venus. It's ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion. This is your house of wisdom. This is your house of, your higher purpose and kind of what you want to expand, right? It's also your house of philosophy, your beliefs, and long distance travel, definitely. And so here we have Venus ruling that house, and Venus is supporting your future. Venus also rules your second house of well-being. So something good going on for you there as well, right? Now we have Jupiter, and um, Jupiter is the great benefic as well. Jupiter can bring you good luck. It can help expand things. It rules Jupiter and Venus together. We can say there's a lot of enthusiasm there. Venus also rules self-care because it rules the second house of well-being, how we create, how we also create harmony and balance with others, not just, but it is how we show up in relationships. It can be, and our money. So this second house in Libra is well-being and money. It can be, right? So here we have Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your 11th, working with Venus. Jupiter is ruling your seventh house of relationships. Yeah, see, there's a lot about relationships here for you that has to do with the future. Wow. All right, so then we have Sagittarius, not Sagittarius, but Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius, rules your fourth house of emotional needs. There could be something you need, Virgo, either with relationships or how you show up in them, right? It's not that we necessarily need a relationship, of course not, but we do need to, it's important how we show up in them, right? And how we, our perspective on relationships and harmony and balance and, love and sex and all that. That's all really important, right? Now, this can be also associated with your, as I was saying, friends and like-minded people, right? So Jupiter is, uh, ruling that fourth house of home and family and emotional needs. Now, also, we have this Lilith here. Lilith is in your fourth house, and it's a shadow aspect. It is that is connected to your either emotional foundation or your perspective or something about home and family. It can be the past wounds, maybe, but the fourth house is the past as well, right? Um, and the sun makes that opposition to Lilith in Sagittarius right here, and we can see it, right? It's kind of moved away from it a little bit, but it is at, so it is making that opposition. The sun is at 13 and Lilith is at 18. And the sun is in your 10th house of career or how you show yourself to other people. There's something about your social role or maybe your status, marital status or something like that. But there's something about your social role here and how you show yourself to the world that is kind of being like highlighted for sure it is, right? The sun is in that 10th house. Now, your 8th house of transformation is also being highlighted. So there's a big change. There's some type of change coming, or you're moving through a change, a transition possibly. I believe the 8th house is a house of transition. Um, no, it is about building and maintaining, and sometimes maintaining what you have already started, but it is the eighth house represents transformation, endings, new beginnings, life and death. It also represents intimate relationships and the money that we share with other people, OPM, other people's money. It's the money that, it can be anything though, any kind of money, real estate money, 401ks, the money you earn with your spouse, any type of shared kind of assets. So that eighth house is being highlighted. It has been, right? Because Saturn and Neptune have been there a while now, and Saturn will be there another good year. It stays for about a year and a half, and Neptune's going to be there till 2032, I believe. So long time, but we have these other asteroids there, and this interesting here is part of fortune in your eighth house of transformation. Something needs to change for you to thrive. That's really what that means. Yeah, it's highly interesting. Um, yeah, And Venus is going to move into your 12th house of, oh, and just to make one thing clear here, the sun is also this house about career and how you show yourself to the world, your status, your social role. It's also about your long-term goals. Yeah, it is. So this is, it's a very important house, right? Um, yeah, and Venus is going to move into Leo. Venus will move into Leo, excuse me, on the 13th of the month. And that's the day before the Gemini full moon. I'll have a separate video on that. But Venus, let's move up to the 13th. Because Venus is important. It's in your 11th house of the future, right? And it is making that conjunction with Jupiter, the two benefics, right? And here we already have Venus and Leo. And Venus and Leo is important because, the 12th house too. Leo is love. Leo is how we show ourselves to the world in terms of our talents, not in terms of social roles, really, like the 10th, in terms of our talents and what we're good at and, our self-expression. That is that. Leo is also love and everything. It represents the fifth house of the heart. Anything we do from the heart, right? Children, they come from the heart, right? Because, and love and sex and things like that. But Venus moves into this Leo, but it's in the 12th house. And now we have the part of fortune. Oh, very interesting as we move forward, because part of fortune is how you thrive and it moves very quickly. I think it stays in a sign for a day. I'm not sure the exact, time it transits, but it's not very long. It's definitely not. So we have, because we just saw it over here. We just saw it over here in Aries, right? At the beginning of the month. Now it's 5 signs away. Yeah, so it's in Leo in your 12th house of endings. There's something you need to do or you want to do, but that you're releasing it in order to thrive. Very interesting there. And Jupiter, I didn't mention this. Jupiter, oh, I did mention your seventh house of relationships. And Jupiter is very important because of that conjunction. It really is with Venus. I mean, I believe it is. And plus it was in earlier in the month, it was in Cancer with Jupiter. And Jupiter is your planet and it's ruling the sun until the 21st. All right. So Jupiter is ruling your seventh house, and we have this ongoing opposition with the south and the north node. The south node is in your sign. Also, and it's been there for almost 18 months now. It moves in July 26th. The south node is what we are moving away from. It can be lack, it can be old wounds, it can be the past that is the familiar past that is maybe limiting us from growing, right? And here's the north node in Jupiter or Jupiter ruled Pisces. So there's something that you are definitely moving toward here, Virgo. Um, there definitely is. All right. And so, yeah, when Venus moves into that 12th house, that's going to be interesting. I have the video on the new moon. I might mention this on the 14th of, which is the next day here, on the 14th here of, of June. And we see it here, right? We see the new moon with the sun. There's always something hopeful. Again, in your 10th house of career and social roles. Maybe you're getting your master's degree. Who knows, right? I mean, that's a social role, right? Or status. But the new moon is here on the 14th. Um, yeah, very interesting. And then part of fortune will be in your sign. Wow. When Mercury is ruling the moon. And on that day, the Mercury is ruling the sun as well. So there's something you're thriving from, like that you will be, but yeah, it has to do with change and transformation. It does, right? All right. So let's see what else I might have for you here. And then we have the full moon in Capricorn, and that is on the 27th. Is that on the 27th of, it is on the 27th of the month, the 29th. I beg your pardon. I'll do a separate video on that. Your Mercury goes retrograde on the 30th. Yeah. And Mars will enter Gemini. Um, Mars enters Gemini on the 28th. These are all at the end. Not Gemini enters Taurus. Mars enters Gemini on the 28th of the month, right? Um, and that will be moving into, this Mercury ruled sign that you share, right? So let's go to the 28th and have a look at the wheel. And so here's Mars. It's in Taurus right now. Mars is entering Gemini then. They're showing the 29th because of the hours are not set exactly right. But Mars will be in this. Mars at the end of the month for you, Virgo, you will be taking, stepping into action or really taking full control over your career or your long-term goals or something that has to do with your social status. As I said, you're getting your master's degree, you're getting married, whatever that social role may be, right? Becoming a father for me is a social role as well. So something's happening for you, when Mars moves into your 10th house, and it will be also conjoined with Uranus, or Uranus, right? And Uranus is about change. And remember, I said your 8th house of transformation is being highlighted. Okay, Virgo, I hope you've enjoyed my content. If so, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next video, right? And um, yeah, thank you so much for joining me here. If you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box where I have my website, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, so now we are going over to Gemini, not Gemini, to Leo, to Libra. Beg your pardon, you guys. So let's have a look at that, and we're going to put Leo on the ascendant. All right, Leo, here you are. All right. So Libra, we're going to put Libra. We've done Leo, right? Yeah, this is going to be my 7th video plus the intro, and it gets to be a lot. Okay, so we have Libra. We have you right here on the ascendant, right? And the sun is in your 10th house of career until the 21st, right? Um, but the sun for you, let's go back here. It's in Gemini, it is. Let's move this back because this is like confusing things. It really is because we have it at the end of the month when the sun has already entered Cancer. All right, so here we have the sun in Gemini. I'm doing this on the 3rd, so we'll just look at the 3rd for now, right? Here you are on the ascendant, so you can see yourself. Yes, you are. And I've circled you just in case, right? All right. So the sun is in your 9th house, and see, that was the confusion with, with the end of the month. But the sun is in your 9th house until the 21st, until it enters Cancer, right? It's in your 9th house of growth and expansion, your 9th house of wisdom and of higher purpose, right? What is meaningful for you in your life, Libra? That's what the 9th house is. It's also about long distance travel. Maybe you want to take, a long distance trip. You may. But the sun is there, and the ruler of the sun is Mercury, and Mercury's ruling your 12th house, and the South Node is in your 12th house. So the 12th house is endings and release. I mean, it means other things, right? Hopes and dreams and, visions and things like intuition and things like that. It also represents uncertainty, the 12th house. So it is a house of loss. But when we see the South Node, which is something that is typically limiting us that we need to move away from, or lack, or wounds, or things like that of the past, then we know that you are purging something with Mercury ruling the sun and your 12th. All right. Mercury, sorry, yeah, I don't want to call you Virgo in case I did that. Libra, Mercury's ruling your 12th. It also rules, as I was saying, your 9th house. Mercury is in Cancer in your 10th house of career and social roles. This is about long-term goals. It's about the authority that you wield over your own life, like your ambition or, the control you have over your own life. Mercury's in that 10th house, right? So, maybe you have thoughts about family right now or long-term goals. until Mercury actually leaves Cancer. But your thoughts look like they are about career. Um, about career and your social positioning, right? As I was saying. All right, so Mercury is yeah, and Mercury will actually move into, what does Mercury enter? Mercury enters uh Mercury, yeah, is in Cancer, as I was saying. It has just entered Cancer on the 1st. So it's fresh there, helping you with these thoughts about your career or these 10th house themes, all right? Now we have Mercury, and it is making a trine to the North Node. So the North Node is in your 6th house of work, your house of health and wellness. And this is a house of daily habits, like how your life functions, right? It is also the house of obstacles. Yeah, it's about your habits and your daily obligations. I mean, they can be streamlined, maybe, but it is the house of habits, kind of good or bad, right? But this trine here to the North Node is like you're thinking about your higher purpose, or like improvement, or maybe the unknown even. So the North Node is associated with fate and destiny and our higher purpose. It's our soul's mission. That's really what it is, if you want to get deep about it. But it is deep. It's in a deep sign too. It's in Pisces, right? Pisces is very deep. Deep as the ocean. So you are likely thinking about that and using your intuition too, when it's in Pisces, right? Pisces is also, rules imagination, compassion, creativity. But Pisces is the intuitive. It's the mystic, right? It's the healer and the mystic. So we have that. Maybe there's something you kind of want to heal, maybe. But it may be psychological, right? Pisces rules the 12th house of psychology, but Pisces and the psyche, but Pisces is also about health, and so is Virgo. So, this is, Pisces is it's sometimes it really rules psychological health or mental health, and Virgo rules the physical health. But they can overlap, or it doesn't have to be exactly that. But you're thinking about maybe your health or wellness. It doesn't have to be health as such. It can be the health of your daily life, the health of your relationship, the health of your money, right? Your relationship with money, things like that. All right. So, and Jupiter is ruling this house where Mercury is trining, right? So Jupiter rules this house. Jupiter is at the beginning of the month, Jupiter's in your 10th, most of the month. It moves into your 11th at the end of the month. But Jupiter is here, and it's making this beautiful conjunction with Venus, and they're both benefics in your 10th house of career, or, excuse me, when I get water, or social roles, as I was saying, all right? Now, Jupiter is ruling that 6th house in Pisces, but it also rules Sagittarius, right? For you, Libra, that's your third house of thinking. So your philosophy about something may be changing. That's a possibility here. Um, right? Because the North Node is always about the future. Yes, it is. And our best future, or what we really want, what our soul wants for us. So we see Jupiter ruling that 3rd house there. And, Lilith is there as well. So Lilith is our shadow. There's a shadow aspect of yourself that um, that kind of needs to be shed, and that's for everybody. It's not just you, Libra. No, yours is just in your 3rd house. All right. Right now, there's a lot of activity in your 7th house. That's been an ongoing theme at the beginning of the month, because we have those asteroids there, right? We have like Athena Pallas, or Pallas Athena, rather. Excuse me. We have Vesta, which is about harmony and balance. And then we have Chiron. Chiron's going to leave your 7th house of relationships. Hopefully, kind of, Chiron is about the wound that we carry, where we sabotage ourselves. Yes, it is. I mean, you're like, what? Yeah, but it's moving into your 8th house, which I think is better than the 7th, in my opinion. But the seventh is relationships and how you create harmony and balance for yourself. So, that's been kind of an ongoing theme, your seventh house, all right, with those stars there and Neptune, not stars, but asteroids, and Neptune and Venus together. All right. And speaking of Venus, Venus is your natal ruler. And remember, I was talking about how it is conjoined with Jupiter, and it's a beautiful thing. It's just, it can be good luck, supporting your money and your career there, supporting your social roles, whatever that may be, your long-term goals. Yeah, and also self-care and self-worth. Yeah, it can, especially with Jupiter. Jupiter's giving it a little lift here. They're really lifting one another. And the sun is the sun in Mercury, Mercury's in that 10th house showing you like, hey, look at that. Like, think about that, right? Or ideas even about new career for you. All right. So yeah, we see that's a beautiful thing. Venus rules your first and it rules your ninth house of growth and expansion. I think I mentioned that already. Yeah. And we do have Mars. Let's look at Mars here. Mars is, it's in a bad spot in Taurus because Venus is the ruler of Taurus. And also, it opposes Aries, which rules, Mars is the ruler of Aries. So basically it's in exile here. It's kind of been kicked out. I mean, if we want to get like philosophical, kicked out of really Scorpio, because Mars rules Scorpio as well. So we have Mars, basically, to kind of get to the point here, we have Mars in your eighth house of transformation. Uh, yeah, and Mars rules your second house of well-being. So Mars is unhappy here. There's something here that you are maybe unhappy with that you want to change. That could be there that you want to transform or you want it to end. It could be, it's ruling that second house of well-being, and Mars is making a square to your fifth house of self-expression, and that's Pluto, and they're both kind of malefic. So, yeah, what you are doing here is your fifth house is how you shine or how you express yourself. It's also about love and sex and children and anything related to the heart, anything. Your talents or your self-expression is always related to your heart, right? It is making a square here. And this, it's in this house of intimate relationships and shared wealth. So maybe you want something to change about your close relationships. um, yeah, you may. And these are both kind of houses that have to do with love and sex as well. This is a very deep psychological house here where you may be able to see something that you couldn't before. And now you're like, dude, I want this to change. You may, because this is the house of transformation, right? And that's where your own Venus is ruling. So it's important, all right? Something wants to end here and you want something new to start because Mars is about new beginnings. It's in your eighth house, right? In a house ruled or a sign ruled by your natal Venus, all right? Something's going to change for you, or you want it to, either one, all right? The square is asking you to change it, asking you to make the adjustment. That's what squares are. They kind of box us in, right? And so we also have on the 14th, I have, excuse me, we have the new moon in Gemini. I'll do a separate video on that, right? And that will be more about your ninth house of growth and expansion and your higher purpose. And also we have at the end of the month, Mercury goes retrograde on the 30th. Mars will enter Gemini, right? But before that, the sun enters Cancer. You shouldn't leave that out. No, I should never leave that out. But the sun enters Cancer, and the sun will be in your 10th house toward the end of the month, right, of career. Right now it's in that ninth. So let me just kind of fix this here. Um, Here is the new moon where there's something hopeful for you about your higher purpose or growth and expansion. And then we also have um, Mars enters Gemini on the 28th. So here's Mars, and it will enter Gemini, and then Mars will move into your ninth house of growth and expansion and wisdom and higher purpose. So you're going to be, that could be your focus, right? Very interesting. You could really want something new where you're growing or something more meaningful. It depends. The ninth house is also, it depends on the rest of the chart, right? It depends on your own chart, really. Um, yeah, and if you'd like to see, if you'd like to see more about your own chart, just you can see my website. It is below. All right. But Mars moving into that ninth house, giving you thoughts about new beginnings regarding something for sure. It's going to be moving into the house that is ruled by Gemini and Mercury, rather, and Mercury is ruling your 12th house of ending. So when Mars moves into Mercury ruled Gemini, you're going to be thinking something has to end. Something has to, or transform or regenerate. It's not always end, right? But yeah, I feel like you will definitely be doing that. So yeah, Jupiter will leave Cancer and move into Leo, and Leo is your 11th house of the future, supporting your 11th house. It's always a good thing. Jupiter's 90% of the time is doing good things for us. And why do I say only 90? Because sometimes it exaggerates, right? Yeah, because it's about Jupiter is the big and the dynamic, and so it can exaggerate in that way. But yeah, and the full moon in Capricorn is on the 27th of the month, and I'll do a separate video on that. If you've enjoyed my video today, Libra, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. As I mentioned, if you'd like a reading with me, if you'd like to explore your own natal chart, uh, that is highly fascinating and empowering. It is. Check out the description box below. Thank you so much, Libra, for joining me here. And we're going to move on now to Scorpio, and let's move the ascendant now. And the ascendant is here. So Scorpio, wow, um, the sun is actually at the beginning of the month. Let's move this back. The sun is in your eighth house of transformation. So you guys are great with change and growth, change and regeneration and endings and new beginnings. You're okay with that because Scorpio, Pluto and both Mars, but Pluto is the one, the more traditional ruler, more modern ruler, rules life and death. So Scorpio is able to deal with endings or deaths a little bit easier than other because Scorpio rules the underworld, like past lives and the psyche and everything that is very deep. And as I said, life and death, right? So here we have the sun in that eighth house, and that is Mercury, right? Mercury ruled. And so we move to Mercury rules your 11th house of transformation, and the sun is in not transformation but future aspirations, also friends and like-minded people, but it's ruling this eighth house of transformation. So something during Gemini season, something wants to change for you as well or regenerate, right? Because of Mercury ruling your 11th house of the future. Very interesting. I feel like that is so. You could maybe during Gemini season, you kind of go through a lot of changes. You could, because Mercury is always ruling your 11th. Yeah. Right. And this is for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Mercury also rules at eighth. Like I said, Mercury is actually in Cancer at the beginning of the month. It has entered Cancer on June 1st. So that is your ninth house of growth and expansion. So you're thinking about that, likely you're, or maybe traveling long distance. That's the house of, faraway cultures and long distance travel. It's also about, your higher purpose and what's meaningful to you. So you look like you are thinking about that. Mercury does rule our thinking, okay? Right. And so, um, yeah, let me move forward to your notes as well, even though I kind of don't really follow them that much. No. Um, but here we have, yeah, and then we have Mercury and not Mercury, but Venus and Jupiter are very important this month because um, Jupiter is going to leave at the end of the month, right? So, but Venus is making a conjunction really with Jupiter. And that's very important because they're both benefics and they're both in your ninth house of growth and expansion. And as we move, toward Venus will enter Leo on the ninth, actually on the 13th of the month. So, but it will still be conjoined with its best friend, kind of, or the other benefic, Jupiter, right? And we'll talk about Mars, your own planet, in just a couple of minutes. But we have Venus on Venus, is ruling your 12th house of endings and release. This is also your house of intuition, which is important for you because your Scorpio is intuitive and psychic, and right, Scorpio is rules the occult really. So, we have Venus there in that ninth house, uh, and moving into the 10th for sure. Excuse me. But, this yeah, so Venus, I beg your pardon, you guys. Venus is here and it will move into your 10th house of career but it will still be in this conjunction with Jupiter. And Venus rules your money, it rules love, it rules relationships, of course. It rules your well-being and how you create harmony in your life, your material comfort. So that's important to you right now when it's in your ninth and your 10th. It's going to move into that 10th house of career and social roles. This is your house of long-term goals and right, you the authority over your own life, your achievement. So it's going to move there, and Jupiter will move into Leo at the end of the month. And they're in conjunction for a good while. They make a perfect conjunction on excuse me, I think on the third on the ninth, actually, both at 25 degrees of Cancer. But Jupiter is ruling this, excuse me, Jupiter rules your fifth house of self-expression, right? This is your creative your creative self-expression, or just how you shine and like your personality. It really can be. It also rules love and sex, right? And children and fun, the fifth house. So it's in Pisces, and Pisces is very intuitive and compassionate. So Jupiter rules this house, and it is right now in your ninth house of growth and expansion. So maybe there's something that is very important for you there, right? And Jupiter is ruling Sagittarius, which is your second house of well-being. So there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change period right now, because for you there can be, because the sun is in your eighth house of transformation. All right. Yeah, and so we do see Mercury making a trine to the North Node. This is very good. This is you're understanding what is meaningful to you with Mercury. Your thoughts are about growth and expansion, your higher purpose, but you're understanding that because Mercury is our thinking. You're likely understanding, or you're at the very least analyzing this energy that can flow for you about your higher purpose, because the North Node is about your higher purpose. It's about your true potential, your soul's mission, your soul mission. Yeah. So, not your soul like your one, well, but it's your soul's mission, like, the mission that your soul wants to go on or be on, what it wants for itself, right? And this is in the house of the heart. And as I said, where you shine, right? Now, that Mercury is making that trine, and Mercury is still here with Jupiter. So there's something very good or easy. The trine creates something easy for you. It's a water trine, and they're in the same element. So when they're in the same element, there's a more of a flow, right? Mercury is also making a sextile to your 11th house, to your Mercury ruled 11th house, which is even more powerful, to the South Node in Virgo, right? And so this is like allowing you to move into something new, or your higher potential, and kind of let something, if there's a chance here or an opportunity for you to leave things out, because that don't serve that don't excuse me, support your future aspirations, because here is the South Node, and it's associated with lack and what limits us. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. And natal Mars. Let's talk about natal Mars now. And where is Mars? It is actually in Taurus right here. And it's in detriment. It doesn't want to be in Taurus. It's in its opposite sign. It is your ruler, and here it is right across in the opposite sign. So it's not feeling comfortable. And yes, it's kind of in exile. It's almost like you kicked Mars out, Scorpio, to go, live in your seventh house for a while. So, Mars in the seventh, you may be, sometimes there could be some anger in relationships, possibly, because Mars is, not really so welcomed here in Taurus, right? Um, Yeah, interesting. But this can be also, it can also talk about, you want to create new beginnings, sort of, or you're taking kind of control over your relationships, right? It can, or, maybe your business with clients. The seventh house is the one-on-one house. And it can be also, you maybe are really trying to create harmony with somebody here. And there is maybe so this square here it can talk about an adjustment needs to be made. Yeah, an adjustment, and it is to your fourth house of emotional needs. So this is your family. It can be your home and family, but it's to Pluto. And, they're both considered kind of malefics. Yeah, they are. And as Saturn can be, right? And so they don't have to be Mars's. Mars is power, it's drive, it's courage, right? It's great, right? And this Pluto is related to transformation, but it's also associated with our power as well. So there could be power struggles, maybe within relationships or in home and family, things like that. But an adjustment it needs to be made, some type of adjustment. All right. Venus is ruling your 12th house. I think I mentioned that of ending. So, and your 12th house of intuition. So, important, to always trust your intuition. I feel like you are completely understanding that, right? As a Scorpio. Now, this house where Mars is kind of unwelcome or in detriment, that is also your house of legal affairs, right? Or things that oppose you, people or situations that are kind of like opponents or, make it difficult for you, or that Mars is there too. So, Mars being there, really interesting, could be like, maybe maybe there's something here that is kind of opposing you right now in your life that you kind of need to do something about, right? The square talks about an adjustment that needs to be made. All right. So yeah, and then the sun is going to move into Cancer, into your ninth house of growth and expansion. It's a beautiful place to be. I feel like it is. I'll have the new moon in Gemini, and that will be on the 14th. I'll do a separate video on that. But the sun moving into your ninth house is very good. It can really help you see what's meaningful in your life. It definitely can. And when the sun enters Cancer, Jupiter will still be in Cancer. So, and Jupiter is the natural ruler of that ninth house. So you're really going to be able to see what's meaningful to you, what is kind of vibing with your own philosophy, what is supporting your growth and transformation, your growth and expansion, rather, when the sun moves there. All right. Mercury is going to go retrograde, and Mercury is important. It rules your 11th house of future aspirations, and also your eighth house of transformation. So Mercury is really important for you, and it's going to go retrograde at the end of the month, and that's okay. And also, I didn't mention this, but Chiron moves into Taurus, into your seventh house of relationships, and that is on the 13th or the 19th. But Chiron here is Chiron here is it's a wound that we all have. Yeah. And let's see how we can show Chiron there it is. So yeah, and here's Chiron at 0 degrees, but that's in your seventh house. So it can be a time where you are able to heal wounds with partners and things like that. Or also maybe Chiron is the wound. It is the wound that we all have I don't know where it's in your particular chart, right? Your own chart, your own unique chart. If you'd like to explore your own chart with me, definitely, my website is in the description box. It's highly empowering, right? Knowledge is power, but we have that Mars here, I mean, that Chiron, moving into your seventh house. So it can be, a time where you can heal relationships or maybe the way you create harmony and balance in our own lives, right? It's, that's always very important. It sure is. So, um, yeah. And right now we have Mars, speaking of your Mars, though, or getting back to your Mars, your ruler, it is ruling your sixth house of daily work and health, your work, your wellness, and also your habits, your daily routines. There's a lot of activity there. So there is, even if these are two planets and these are two asteroids, but there's a lot of activity in Aries right now. And that rules your daily habits, your daily obligations, your daily routines, your lifestyle, really. And it's also the house of obstacles. So, but there's a lot of activity there. And there is a trine going there too from Lilith right here. Very interesting. And so, beautiful because the trine is allowing you to kind of organize your daily life in a more functional, or maybe get better work or take care of your health, right? So I'm going to end this. Thank you so much, Scorpio, for joining me here. If you've liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe and hit the little bell, and I'll be back with another video. All right, so now we're going to move on to Sagittarius, and we will change the ascendant here. And here it is. And let's go back a few days here. We'll start. I'm recording this on the 3rd, and nothing's really changed. So you guys didn't really lose too much for the first 2 days. You didn't lose anything really, because the only thing that was really happening, the moon was in Scorpio the first day. It's still here on, not Scorpio, Capricorn on the 3rd, kind of making things maybe a little serious, sort of. But um, right, but this or focusing on, sometimes the moon in Capricorn can mean, and we're focused on our goals. We're focused on ambition, authority. Sometimes the father, right, the fifth house, or how we are leading our own life, right, Capricorn. But we have at the beginning of the month, um, excuse me, we have Mercury has just entered Cancer, right? And where is little Mercury with the hat? Here it is. And so Mercury is the ruler of the sun, so that's why it's important right now, right? The sun is in Gemini right here, and it's actually in for you, Sagittarius, this is for your sun, moon, and rising, all right? It is in your seventh house of relationships and how you create harmony and balance with others. That may be important for you right now. It could be, part of the focus in your life, your relationships. It's also the house of clients and one-on-one, right? And opponents, anything that is opposing you, right? Now, Geminis are thinking, so maybe you're realizing, or you're thinking, or you see something, right? Because it rules intelligence, Mercury, right? And we're in the Mercury ruled sign, right? So, in that seventh house of relationships, we also have, and it actually, the sun on the 3rd is opposing Lilith in your sign, right? Lilith is the shadow side that we all have, a shadow aspect of our personality. It's in your first house. So, there's could be something here personal to you. It's just facing the shadow and moving on, right? Facing the shadow and stepping into the light, right? Stepping out of the darkness. It can be related to ego. But Lilith really wants to be free and unleash this true power. So maybe you feel kind of stuck about something, possibly, but there's something that you can face and release, I believe, here. And the sun is opposing it. So the sun is making you see something about your relationships, your seventh house, or how you create, harmony and balance. It can be about who you argue with. It can, because it's the house of opponents, right? Tell them to all go away, Sagittarius, right? but that can be there, right? Um, yeah, and yeah, on that same day, interesting, the sun is making a sextile to Neptune. So it's in your fifth house of self-expression, love and sex, creative pursuits. There's something here about your self-expression, most likely, or your relationships that you are. There's an opportunity here for you to kind of see things very intuitively and yeah, with Neptune there. And so there's like hope here or something. There's a positive thing going on when the sun is making that sextile to Neptune in the house, in the sign of the self, right? Yeah, and the sun is asking you to kind of see it because the sun does represent clarity. So yeah, and this can be also, work on your creative pursuits. This is the house of creative pursuits, your creativity. The sun is letting you have some type of opportunity to honestly let something go that might be affecting your self-expression or your creative self-expression, right? It's really important, your creative self-expression. Yeah, especially if you work for yourself or you're an artist or you're trying to create something new for yourself, right? This is the fifth house of authenticity and how you shine and your talents and like what you're good at. But it does call for authenticity, and so does the sun. All right. So let's see what else I have for you here, Sagittarius. Let me find these notes. Let me just move forward to them, even though I just kind of veer off and, forget all about these notes, right? That may be my Gemini rising where, we talk, right? But yeah, we talked about Black Moon Lilith, your shadow there. But Black Moon Lilith um, is opposing excuse me, is opposing this part of fortune here. And why do I want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think it's interesting, yeah, I think it's very interesting. I didn't write the date here, which is, here it is right here. So it is on the 8th, where we see that. But uh, you know, part of fortune is how we thrive. So the sun is here in conjoined with part of fortune. It's basically saying, look, make some type of an adjustment so you can thrive, so you can shine. Yeah, very cool there. And it is in your house of either clients, one-on-one, or relationships, or how you create harmony and balance with other people. We really need that, right? Don't we? We always need harmony and balance with other people. And so that's how that is. Yeah. And with everybody, right? And so what else do I have here, Sagittarius, for you? Yeah, we're just getting started, really. But Mercury is in this eighth house of transformation for you. Mercury is the ruler of the sun, and it also rules your 10th house of career. So the sun is over here in thinking Gemini or in intelligent Gemini, really, or cerebral. And the sun and Mercury is that ruler, and it's in your eighth house of transformation. There's something changing here about the way you either think about things that maybe oppose you or your relationships or clients and business. Maybe Mercury can represent business as well. It's in your eighth house of transformation. That's a house of intimate relationships, close relationships, anytime. It's any type. It's a money house. It's how you see things at a very deep level. It's a psychological house, seeing beneath the veil or intuitively. So it's there. So you're seeing something at a very deep level about your career or how you show yourself to the world or how you show yourself to other people, your reputation or how they might see you. This is because Mercury rules that 10th house. It's also your house of career or long-term goals. It's the house where you take authority over your own life, like maturity and ambition. Yeah, that's what it is. So, so we have that going on there. Um, hmm Yeah, and there's a huge amount of support for you, Sagittarius, because really for everybody, but but your ruler, Jupiter, is that's why I'm saying for everybody, right? But is in your eighth house of transformation. So for you, all month until the 29th when it moves into Leo. and it's exalted in Cancer, so it's very happy to be here. And this Jupiter here is conjoined with Venus. All right, Jupiter's your ruler. It also rules your fourth house of emotional foundation, your needs, but also your home and family. Um, yeah, and the past. So this is also the house of the public, the fourth house. So Jupiter is ruling this fourth house, where the North Node sits of higher potential, and it's ruling your first house as well, right? So we have Jupiter in your eighth house of transformation, being supported by its kind of other benefic, right, which is Venus. So, there, you could get really lucky, especially, everybody really could, around when Venus and Jupiter are together at a perfect conjunction around the ninth of the month. So, Venus supports love and relationships, and it also, represents our self-care and our self-worth, the good life. That's why that's associated with self-care and self-worth, right? But it's also our material comfort. That's Venus. So how we create harmony with others, it is with, Jupiter. And Jupiter rules our philosophy, our higher purpose, and higher education. It rules what's meaningful to us. So, for me, something is changing for you in this eighth house of transformation, transforming possibly about your what is meaningful to you, and your relationships, or or how you maybe show yourself or show up in relationships. It can be too, excuse me. Venus has to do with your money, so there's really something good, I believe. Venus is in your money house because it's there being supported by the other benefic, Jupiter, right? Now Venus is ruling your 11th house of the future. So there you go. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And supporting that, it's also supporting your Taurus in your sixth house of work, health and wellness, and your daily routines. So there could be something that is changing about your daily routines. Mars is in there, and Mars is, I'm going to do something new. Mars is, I got the courage and the drive, and it is showing up in that sixth house. So maybe your habits are changing as well. They could be. We have Mercury making a sextile to Mars from this house of transformation, right, to this house of daily routines and things like that. All right. So on the 14th, I'll have a video. Excuse me. We're going to have the new moon in Gemini. I'll be doing a video on that, a separate video. And Gemini is your opposite sign, so it's always important. Yeah, whatever's going on in Gemini, it is important to you because there's a silent opposition here where astrology or the cosmos wants us to the universe wants us to merge the best of both of these signs, yours and Gemini. So there's always something resonating there. There is, um, right? And so the sun will move into Cancer on the 21st, and Chiron is leaving Aries, and on the 19th it enters Taurus. Taurus is your sixth house, so it's really your house of it's leaving your house of self-expression. Chiron can help you. It is a wound. It's a wound where we sometimes can sabotage ourselves. That's really what it is. Yeah, it's very deep, but it's also, it represents healing. Chiron healed himself, right? He was a centaur, but it's about healing yourself through reflection, through a deeper understanding of yourself, right? And that's how we heal things, right? Your Jupiter is going to leave Cancer on the 29th, moving into Leo, into your ninth house of, this is your natural ninth house. Jupiter and Sagittarius rules the ninth house of growth and expansion and wisdom and higher purpose and all that is meaningful to us. Yeah. Um, right? Higher education and higher realms and our philosophy. So when Jupiter enters your ninth house, I mean, that sounds so like helpful to me and beautiful. It really does. It's entering the sign of love and self-expression and the heart. So I can imagine that, for the next year, You're going to be, I feel like riding high, Sagittarius, right? Um, and Mercury will go retrograde on the 30th of the month. Remember, I said Mercury is important to you because it rules your opposite sign. Also, we have the full moon in Capricorn, and that will be also in a separate video. And that will be in your second house of well-being, your second house of material comfort and financial well-being as well. So you might want to look for that one. So thank you so much, Sagittarius, for joining me here. If you've liked my content, let's go back to, let's go back to, oops, oops, here. Let's go back to the actual, yeah, here I am. If you liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe and hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. It's always appreciated for watching. And also, if you want a reading with me, check out, if you'd like to explore your own chart, check out my description box below, and my website is there. Yeah, and I approach the chart from a very an excellent place because I've had a great teacher as well. And thanks so much for joining me, Sagittarius. And I'm going to see now we're going to move into Capricorn. I beg your pardon. This is going to be my 10th video, so you can imagine, right? So for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, let's share the screen here. Let me go. Oh, let me go ahead and share here, right here. Where is my Capricorn? My wheel here, and here it is. Okay, I hope you guys can see me. And so we're going to move the ascendant over to Capricorn. And so Capricorn, the sun is here in your sixth house of daily of work and health and daily routine. So this is your house. This is your house that makes your life work, right? Your work, your health, and your daily habits, or how you organize your life, basically. So it's also the house of obstacles. It is the 12th and the 6th have to do with obstacles, but the sun is there, showing you something about those sixth house themes, and the sun or Mercury, which is ruling the sun, is in your seventh house of relationships. And also, this is the house where you, of business and clients and one-on-ones, but it's also the house of how you kind of, create harmony and balance in your own life, right? Kind of peace. Because that's what Libra, the seventh house is the original ruler of, of the seventh. Libra is the ruler, or Venus is the original ruler of the seventh. Um, so that house is about creating harmony and balance and fairness. It's about legal affairs, right? It's also about anything that is opposing you. That's interesting. So Mercury is there in that house, and Venus is there as well. So that's highly interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute. Venus loves the seventh house. But we have Mercury also ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion. So right now, the sun is kind of focusing, the sun right now in this season, Capricorn, your kind of, your thoughts could be on growth and expansion, or what's meaningful to you as it relates to work or your daily routines, right? Your daily life. Now, we also have Venus here, right? Um, and I want to see what Saturn is doing here before. Okay. So, yeah, so we have Mercury at 12 degrees making a square to your natal Saturn. Yeah. It's a good thing I remember that because I'm not looking at the notes. But Mercury, remember, rules information and your thinking, and it is making a square to Saturn, Pallas Athena, Vesta, which is harmony and balance, and yeah, and a kind of a loose square to the moon, right? Now, this square here, and we can include Neptune. It's kind of a little bit loose there, but the square here to Saturn, Saturn's your ruler, is asking you to, or inviting you. It's kind of asking you to make an adjustment here about that has to do with either home and family, or your roots, or your emotional foundation, or your needs. So. I feel like Saturn is probably, I think it's in detriment in Aries too. Let me just have a look here. It's your Saturn. Yeah, it is in detriment in Aries. It sure is. So you don't like to be in Aries. You're going to be there for a while. This is your ruling planet. But that square here from Mercury to Cancer, it is saying, make an adjustment that has to do with your emotional foundation and likely, or your family life, family dynamics, and your relationships. It could be saying that, all right? Saturn also rules your second house of well-being, and Venus here, which is important here because we have this conjunction with Jupiter, right? Venus is ruling your fifth house of self-expression and the house of the heart, the house of, how you shine, your talents, but also how you express yourself. So Venus is, ruling that house, and it also rules your 10th house of career, how you show yourself to the world, your reputation, right? So there could be something going on there. But Venus is supporting your seventh house of relationships with Jupiter. And Jupiter is, right here. It's going to stay in Cancer for a little while. Even when it moves to Leo at the end of the month, it will still be in this conjunction with Venus, and they're both benefics. So your seventh and your eighth house of transformation, intimate relationships is really being supported. It is, all right. Um, yeah, and so Jupiter is ruling your third house of thinking. A lot of thinking going on for you, because Mercury, the mind itself, or thinking, is in your seventh house. So your thoughts, it sounds like, are on relationships, could be. Um, but also, Jupiter rules what's very meaningful to us. It rules our higher purpose, our growth and expansion. It's ruling your third house of thinking. And this can be goals and skills, your third house, um, goals and skills, and also communication with other people, communication, of course, short distance travel, but it's ruling that house of thinking, which can include decisions, right? And ideas, but we have Jupiter also ruling your 12th house of endings. So for me, something is kind of, while you are thinking, while this is, the sun is in your sixth house, you might be really thinking of kind of letting something go. This is also your house of obstacles, right? And here is Mercury thinking all about seventh house themes and relationships, right? Yeah. And what opposes you? There could be something you don't like here that you are kind of going to purge, because here is, in order to maybe expand here, because Jupiter is ruling that 12th house, right? Now, also, we have Black Moon Lilith, and it's making Black Moon Lilith is being opposed by your sun in your sixth house. You see that? And so the sun is trying to bring clarity to something, really, or shining on it, maybe highlighting it from your house of, this is your house of obstacles, and this is the house of loss. So it's asking you to make an adjustment to help you move forward and grow and expand. Because remember, Jupiter is growth and expansion, and it's in your seventh house, where a lot of thinking is going on. Yeah, because Mercury is there, right? But this can be also about your work too, Capricorn. But it looks good. It definitely does. We're going to have the new moon in Gemini for you, for everybody on the 14th. Yeah, and Mercury is going to be the ruler of the new moon. So there's just a lot of thinking here about your sixth house, about your daily life, your routines, your work and your health, possibly, right? Or wellness. I like to say wellness, right? Um, so Mercury's also going to, um, it's going to go retrograde at the end of the month, which is highly interesting. And because of all this Mercury energy, right? The sun enters Cancer on the 21st, and the sun will enter your seventh house of relationships, putting more focus on there, right? And your harmony and your balance and whatever's fair you feel like in your life. Jupiter is going to enter Leo rather, into your into your eighth house of transformation. So that's going to be highly interesting. And that can be like transforming things for you to help you reach your higher purpose or to find more meaning in your life. Yeah, I might do a separate video on that, but you have the full moon in Capricorn on the 29th Capricorn, and I will do, that'll be your full moon, of course. I'll be doing a separate video on that. So thank you so much, Capricorn, for joining me here. And if you'd like to have a reading with me and explore your chart more, explore your chart, then, definitely we can do that. And check out the description box below. Check out your chart more fully, right? It's very empowering, and the way I approach the chart as well is awesome. Yeah, have a like a Vedic type of teacher, somebody who is, a Western astrologer, but, also has, uh, wisdom from, Vedic astrology as well. So, yeah, it's a very empowering and enriching experience. So thanks so much for joining me here. Yeah, and I will see you in the next video. And now we're going to move on to Aquarius. So yeah, let's see. Let's put you at the ascendant Aquarius. And yeah. All right. So, and I will be, yeah, so let's talk about Aquarius, sun, moon, rising. All right. So Aquarius, the sun in Gemini is highlighting your house of self, expression, sorry, and talents. And here's the sun right here. So let's look at it. I already have you on the ascendant, and here is the where the sun is, right? The sun is ruled by Mercury. So we see Mercury in Cancer in the next sign. So when the sun is ruling your fifth house, this is the house of the heart. This is the house of self-expression, creative pursuits, love and romance, anything that kind of rules the heart, right? Your talents, your hobbies, your recreational activities, how you like to have fun. The fifth house is love and sex, but it's fun as well, all right? It's basically how you shine and what kind of makes you shine, right? Now, we have Mercury, and that is the ruler of the sun in your sixth house of work, health, and daily routines, like your habits, your routines, your lifestyle, daily obligations, right? And also obstacles. So, this is here. So the focus may be on those sixth house themes or your fifth house, but Mercury also represents your eighth house of transformation. So maybe something's really changing for you or regenerating during Gemini season. And this fifth house where the sun is also the house of entrepreneurial, entrepreneurship. Is that the proper word? Yeah. And also children, teaching children. All right. So we start with Black Moon Lilith, and it's in Sagittarius in your 11th house. Yeah, I kind of started. Okay. And that 11th house is friends and future aspirations. At the beginning of the month, the moon is has, the third, on the third is when I'm recording this, the moon is in Capricorn. This is in the sign of your ruler because Saturn is ruling both. It's in a hidden house and the house of endings. So something may be ending for you right now because Mercury is ruling your eighth house of transformation. Yeah, and Mercury's in your house of obstacles. It's a possibility here. Now we have Lilith right away, and the sun is making that opposition. The sun in your fifth house of self-expression and talents, right? And these, as I explained it, but the sun is opposing Lilith, and so there's something that is shadow that you need to leave behind that can, whenever you leave it behind or confront it, it's a shadow aspect of your personality, then you can move forward with more flow for sure, because the sun is trying to illuminate that. The sun is also, making a sextile to part of fortune and Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena has to do with your strategy and your wisdom. But by seeing your emotional patterns, we can't have any strategy or any wisdom really if we don't understand ourselves, right? That's what the natal chart is here for, right? Your own natal chart. But the sun is making a sextile to Venus Pallas, Pallas Athena, and also this part of fortune, Vesta and Vesta, right? And so we also have the sun making that trine or that sextile rather to Saturn. And so what it's doing here, it's to your third house of thinking. The sun is asking, and it's in Gemini, it's asking you to think about to use strategy. It's asking you to make sure that you have harmony and balance in your life, right? The third house is where Vesta sits. That's your immediate environment, so you can thrive. That's what part of fortune is. It's thriving. All right. And to Saturn, your own ruler, it's kind of saying, look, we need structure and form here, right? We need discipline. We need commitment. We need some maturity and seriousness about whatever this has to do with, right? Saturn rules maturity, um, right? So we have that going on for you. And the sun trines Pluto. Yeah, it trines Pluto. It's kind of leaving there. Yeah, it's moving away, but there's still a trine there. And to Juno, Juno is the person that kind of lights up your life. So maybe there's something going on there. The sun is in your fifth house of love and sex, right? But the trine is making this easy flow for you. So, and also trining this Pluto, making it easy for you to like transform something or regenerate, step into your power possibly. So that's what, that trine is doing. Now, we also have, let's talk about, um, yeah, and this Black Moon Lilith, just getting back to this, your house of the future, that's also your house where the sun is opposing and asking you to do something. That's also your house of friends and like-minded people. I mean, this can be saying maybe you're hanging around with the wrong people. It could be, right? Because Black Moon Lilith is in that house. It's also the house of gains and your gains from the 10th house of career or status, but it's also about your hopes and wishes, right, for the future. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of, clarify that. Now, we also have Venus here and Venus, and this is kind of an easy month to do the horoscopes really because Venus and Mercury is in that sixth house of wellness and work and having you think about your daily routines and your lifestyle possibly or your wellness. But Mercury and not Mercury, but Jupiter and Venus are also here in that sixth house. And so, Jupiter's very important. It's a benefic, but it's showing up with Venus, and they're both benefics, and they're in your sixth house. So, this is supporting your lifestyle, your work, your habits, and and Venus is about self-care. So you may definitely be, maybe letting go of some kind of a habit here because the moon's in your 12th house on the third, opposing, the emotional moon, which is what keeps us safe. The moon is like it can be our mind and our body, but the moon is really our emotional safety, right? Our needs and things like that. It rules the fourth house of the mother and emotional foundation. So we have the moon in the 12th house of purging and endings and release. It's making an opposition to both Jupiter and Venus. Now, Venus is about your money, it's about your love, how you create, romantic love, how you create harmony in your life, and self-care and self-worth. It's also associated with money and material comfort. It's there, conjoined with Jupiter. And on the ninth, when they make that perfect conjunction, it could be a very lucky day for you. It could be regarding work or health or or any of these sixth house matters. Now, Jupiter is there too, but before we do that, let's see what is uh, what houses or what signs really that Venus rules for you, because that's going to be important. So Venus rules your ninth house of growth and expansion. So you're trying, it looks like, that you kind of, this is the house of higher potential. So, with Mercury in that house of work and health and daily routines, there could be something here that, that you are trying to grow or expand. You might be learning something too, because Venus, not Venus, but Mercury, which is ruling the sun, is about learning, and so is the ninth house. It can be, that's because it's related to expansion and growth, right? So we have Venus here ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion and higher purpose. And also, Venus is ruling your fourth house of emotional needs. So, it's important here. Venus is supporting those areas of your life. It loves to be in Cancer. And with regard to these sixth house themes, we also have Jupiter. Jupiter is, supporting your second house of well-being, right? And so also, um, it is ruling Sagittarius in your 11th house of future aspirations, you see, and these kind of friends and, social connections. So, Jupiter is supporting that. It definitely is, all right. And so we have an in conjunct here too, and that is from Venus, though, to your, yeah, Venus is making this kind of, well, the moon is actually making an opposition to Venus, right? These are your houses of obstacles. I talked about that. Yeah, I did. But here we have Jupiter, and that is, making this to its own, not to its own, but to its own sign, Sagittarius. Jupiter is, and Venus both are making this opposition here to Lilith. So it's asking you to adjust something about so you can move forward, as I was saying earlier, that has to do with growth and expansion. I feel like that is a big theme here for you, all right? Yeah. And so, yeah, the opposition is just an adjustment, right? That is trying to make here. We also have Mercury, the ruler of the full moon, of the sun, rather. You're my 11th video, Aquarius. So here is Mercury, and it is making a trine to the North Node. The North Node is where we're trying to go. It's our higher purpose. It is, it can be fate and destiny, but it's where we're trying to go. Sometimes it has to do with groups of people. It is the unknown. It can be the unknown, but sometimes it has to do with different groups of people. Mercury trining the North Node in your second house of well-being and financial comfort. Yeah, that's a really good, that's great for you, because there's something is easy for you to kind of, and this is ruled by Jupiter, that can help you grow or expand. Yeah, so that's a beautiful thing, right? And so we also have, we also have Jupiter will be moving into Leo, into your seventh house of relationships near the end of the month. So that's kind of a good thing, right? Well, I mean, I like Jupiter in Leo. I think it works out well. Um, yeah. And so Venus is going to be in this conjunction for for a few weeks, really, because it's going to be moving here, right? It is moving. It will leave. It actually moves into Cancer. When does it move? It moves into Cancer. Um, Venus enters Cancer. I don't remember here exactly here, but that's okay. 'Cause we're going to see it right now. Yeah, we are. So let's move it forward. Forgive me, you guys, for not knowing every date. Venus moves into Leo. That's what I meant. So it moves into Leo on the 13th, and it's still in this conjunction with Jupiter. So it starts at the beginning of the month. That's a good, good 2.5 weeks that we have that conjunction. And Venus will be in Leo then. So we do have the new moon in Gemini, Aquarius, and more Gemini energy here as we continue the month. And the new moon is on the 14th, and here it is. Yeah, and here the sun is next to the moon during every new moon, and they're supporting one another for something new, right? For something new, something hopeful. Um, and sometimes it's a transition, but it is the new moon is always very hopeful, right? Interesting about the moon because the moon represents our mood. So when the sun is, kind of supporting it, we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine together, and that is, the sun and the moon rule the universe, right? Or rule the solar system. Yeah, they do. The sun is first and the moon is second, as I see it. But yeah, and so we'll have that new moon. I'll do a separate video on that, and that will be again in your fifth house of self-expression, your fifth house of self creative expression, how you show yourself. Kind of, it's the fifth house of being authentic with your heart. The fifth house that is in the original chart, it's Leo, and everything that we do with the heart should be authentic. That's why it is associated with your talents and what you're good at, entrepreneurship and things like that. That's also the house of love and sex, so and children. So there could be something going on there for you, all right? Um, yeah. And so we also have um, on the 19th, we have Chiron will enter Taurus. Okay, so Taurus is your it's your fourth house of emotional needs, right? It's leaving your third house of thinking and you know, decisions and ideas and learning and all this stuff, and goals and skills. It's leaving. It will be moving into Taurus. So, the Chiron is the actual wound that we all have, depending on where it is in our natural chart, that where we sabotage ourselves. So Chiron is interesting. I may do a separate video on that. It's at 29 degrees in your third house until the 19th. And it's asking you to do something about the way you think. Could be about, your skills, your goals, and things like that. Because remember, um, yeah, because Mercury is in the sixth house, the ruler of the sun, in the sixth house for, while the sun is in Gemini, but this sixth house, might have to do with the way you the way you think about your work or your daily life. It will depend on each of you, right? So we have that, and then we also have Mars enters Gemini, yeah, and the sun will enter Cancer. That's very important, right? On the 21st. And we have Mars entering Gemini near the end of the month. So here's Mars here. It's going to move into your fifth house. When Mars moves into your fifth house of talents and self-expression and love and sex, you're going to be like shining basically because uh, I think Mars is actually in detriment here in Gemini, but still Mars in Gemini will be careful with your conversations with like lovers or anybody really, because Mars can also bring anger. Let me see, Mars in Gemini. No, Mars in Gemini is okay, I think. Yeah, because we want to know if they're comfortable because it does make a difference, right? Or powerful, these planets. So Mars will move into your fifth house, and your fifth house is ruled by the heart. So you're going to be moving into things or starting new beginnings or asserting yourself for for something beneficial for you, right? Definitely, and that supports your self-expression, all right? So whatever talents you have too, you're going to be acting on them, I believe, when Mars enters Gemini, and that will be on the 19th, all right? We also have here, where are we here? We have Mercury goes retrograde on the 30th. Yeah, and also we have, excuse me, we have the full moon in Capricorn. So that's going to be on the 29th of this month. And that's going to be important for you because you and Capricorn share Saturn as a ruler, all right? And I will have a separate video on that. So thank you so much, Aquarius, for joining me here today. Please like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content. And hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. And yes, and now we're going to move to Pisces. So let's move the little ticker here, and we're going to move it to Pisces. All right, here it is. So Pisces, we have you on the ascendant. We sure do. And a lot of good things going on for you. When I did when I just did the last video, I thought to myself, wow, that was really really good for you. So we start Pisces. Let me pull up your the notes here, even though I rarely look at them, right? So the sun is in Gemini, is an intelligent Gemini until the 21st of the month when it moves into Cancer. All right, but this is your fourth house of emotional needs. So you're seeing right now what you need. It's your fourth house of home and family, in the past, and you might be looking at the past. Let's move this away because it's showing the new moon here. We don't want to look at the new moon yet. No, and so the sun is here in that fourth house. It is home and family, but it's also represents the past. It's a hidden house. So the sun could be showing you something about the past or family dynamics or your own emotional needs at this time. All right, during when the sun until the 21st of the month. All right. So, and the sun is ruling, Gemini or Mercury is the ruler of the sun, right? While it's in Gemini. So we also, Mercury is ruling not only your fourth, but it rules Virgo, and Virgo is your seventh house of relationships. So maybe you're seeing something about the way you create harmony in your life or your relationships or kind of what opposes you, because the seventh house is the house of opponents as well and legal matters. Maybe there's something going on there for you, but that's also the house of one-on-one clients. So if you work one-on-one with somebody, or not with somebody, but in your business or in your life, that will, Mercury is ruling that house. Now, um, yeah, and so Mercury is actually in your fifth house of creative self-expression. This is how you shine to the world. This is like, it's your talents, it's what you're good at, but it is the way you express yourself, okay? It can be creative self-expression. Mercury's in your fifth. It's the house of love and sex. It's the house of children, and all creative pursuits, right? So we see Mercury there, and so you're thinking likely about a lot of things here. It looks like relationships and love in your life, and maybe children, but love, because the fourth house can rule family here. You could be kind of, your thoughts can be about that. Yeah, and Mercury, let's see what Mercury is doing. At the beginning of the month, it is making a trine to your sign, to the North Node. So this is beautiful for you because that trine right there is making it easy for you to kind of move up and, kind of raise the bar for yourself and reach for your higher potential. That's what the North Node is about. I mean, some people call it fate and destiny because it is our soul mission. Our soul's mission is a better way to say that. So, Mercury is thinking all about that, and it's in nurturing Cancer. Mercury feels okay in Cancer, but Cancer is nurturing nonetheless, right? And so that's beautiful, right? But you're thinking, actually, this can be saying you're a little less emotional because Mercury's not very emotional. It's more logical mind, right? And so Mercury sees the pros and the cons usually, and Cancer sees the feelings, right? So here we have that, but that is making you a little less emotional here than it just is. It's having you see everything that is logical here about your higher purpose. So good for you. And we also have Jupiter, and I can't leave this alone because it's very important. Jupiter is your ruling planet. And so Jupiter, it's your traditional planet. Your modern planet is over here, Neptune. And Neptune is important. I don't find it as important to be as Jupiter because Neptune is more of a collective planet. It's an outer planet. It is for, collective, for kind of large groups of people. It does have its personal meaning, though it does. But we have Jupiter here in the fifth house, lighting, supporting your self-expression, supporting your talents, supporting who you are authentically. That's what Jupiter's doing. And Jupiter wants to be authentic because it represents integrity and higher realms, your higher purpose. So it is connected somewhat to authenticity, all right? So it is growth and expansion as well, Pisces, and it is also what's meaningful to you in your life, and what represents wisdom to you, right? Wisdom is always meaningful, right? It's wisdom is like the experiences, how we get there, kind of how we become wiser through experiences, right? It's also about teaching, and faraway lands. Maybe you want to go on a vacation. Jupiter is in the fifth house of vacation. This is the house of fun. So yeah, it is. So maybe you're planning one. And so I know a Piscean. I hope they're inviting me. No, I'm teasing. And so here we have Jupiter with the other benefic, which is Venus. So, Jupiter here is being opposed on the third, early in the month today, is being opposed by the moon, but it's asking you to make some type of an adjustment for your future. It's really asking you to be kind of just be authentic and go for your higher purpose, go for what you're good at, because that's what Jupiter wants in the fifth house. It is supporting your talents, all right? And also you being who you really are. And so Jupiter it rules Sagittarius, and it rules your 10th house of career. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I don't think I did. Um, it's ruling your 10th house of career and social roles and how you show yourself to the world. It's a little similar to the fifth house, um, a little, but this is long-term goals as well. Let's move the wheel. And yeah, and so that Jupiter makes a perfect conjunction on June 9th. And here it is, both at 25 degrees with Venus, right? And so interesting when we see Mercury and Venus and Jupiter all in your fifth house of self-expression. It's like I'm thinking about how I can shine. I'm thinking about my well-being with Venus there. I'm thinking about growth and growing and expanding. I'm thinking about my higher purpose, and so I feel like that is a very awesome thing. All right, and so where were we here? But Jupiter and Venus is yeah, Venus is here, and Venus rules your eighth house of transformation, and it is supporting your transformation about your self-expression. Yes, it is, because it's there with the other benefic, which is Jupiter. And Venus is ruling your not only your eighth house of intimate relationships and shared wealth and kind of other people's money. That is the house of transformation. For me, it's most important, and regeneration. All right. It's also the house of secrets. It's a hidden house where maybe you couldn't see something about yourself, because these here, honestly, for me, in the fifth house is really the best kind of. Yeah, I mean, those three planets can be somewhere else and be very good, but in the fifth house, it's really a good thing. All right, so now Venus is also ruling your third house of thinking. So see, it's just supporting you all the way. Venus will move into Leo. It moves and enters Leo on the 13th of the month. It will still be conjoined with Jupiter, but now Venus will be supporting your sixth house of work and health and wellness. And Venus is associated with not just love and beauty and money, right? It's associated with how we take care of ourselves. Yeah, self kind of like self-worth and well-being and that self-care. So Venus will move into this house of wellness and work, supporting you there. And Venus can help you improve those daily habits, if in case any of them aren't working for you, bad habits, or it just doesn't even have to be a bad habit. It could just be a habit where you're not, I don't know, doing kind of raising the bar for yourself, or you're just not consistent or something like that, that type of a habit, right? Venus will move into Leo where it's happy. It's going to move into the sign of love and fun and talents, right? But it's also, and how you shine, it's also the sixth house of obstacles. So, but Venus will be supporting that, all right? Yes, and very good for you. Jupiter will change signs at the end of the month. It's going to move into Leo as well. Um, yeah, and so it's all supporting your sixth house as well. Yeah, it will be. And they're both fire signs, right? And Jupiter, I believe, is very comfortable and happy to be in Leo. Let me make sure here. Yes, it is. So, That's going to be a great thing. Now we have the new moon in Gemini. I think I might have mentioned this happening in your fourth house of emotional foundation, your roots, the past, and home and family. I'll have a separate video on that for the new moon. There's going to be something hopeful there for you, or something that you're doing new, or thinking of something, a new idea related to those fourth house, or a new dynamic, or something like that related to your fourth house themes, right? Those themes I was mentioning. Um, and also, what else do we have here? We have Mars entering Gemini, right? And that's going to be on the 28th of the month. I'll talk a little bit more about that, excuse me, likely in the new moon video for for Gemini, but Mars will move into yeah, entering Gemini, moving into your fourth house of home and family. So whatever you are doing here, Mars, be careful for arguments with family when Mars moves into that fourth house. But you could also be kind of, being very assertive about your own emotional foundation. You could be doing that, and that's always a great thing, right? Especially for a water sign. You know, I'm not a water sign, but I have my moon in my 12th house, and that it kind of makes me a water sign in a way, right? Yeah, I'm like, what? What? And so, but yeah, and you could be very protective and kind of just kind of take control of maybe your emotional needs or your emotional foundation, your emotions in general. Yeah, you could really be kind of because that's the fourth house where Mars will enter, and the fourth house is what keeps us safe, right? What keeps us kind of emotionally balanced. So Mars moving in there can affect you. It can affect you in a good way. It can. So yeah, there's that. And Chiron, I didn't mention Chiron will be moving out of your second house of well-being into Taurus, into your house of thinking. I think that's a way better because your house of well-being, it can be a heal that you've already healed something about your well-being, and now Chiron will move into the third house in Taurus because Chiron is the wound that we have where we sabotage ourselves. It's also in Aries, the sign of the self. So I think that Chiron leaving Aries will be a good thing for everybody. It will move into your third house of thinking. You could be kind of understanding in a major way, this third house of the mind, what needs to be healed or overcome. All right, it doesn't always have to be a major healing, but it can be, right? And it is moving into the house of, well, not the house, but the sign of material comfort and well-being and self-worth. So it just looks really good for you, Pisces. It really does. So, and then at the end of the month is the full moon in Capricorn, and that is happening in your 11th house of future aspirations. And so you may want to see that, right? I'll have a separate video on that. And so thank you so much, Pisces, for joining me here today. I really appreciate you. Please like, share, and subscribe. And hit the little bell so you can be notified of my next upload. If you'd like to explore your own chart further, definitely. My website is below in the description box. It's very empowering. Yeah, if you approach the way that I approach the chart, and that is, it's very true. It is very empowering. It's very enlightening. It's very empowering, and it does show so much more than people think. Yeah, it does. It shows your roots, your lineage, your all the, your grandparents, and it's just highly fascinating. It is your gifts, of course, and also the lessons that we all came here to learn, right? And we did. We all came here to learn, and the South Node has to do with those, and it's in everybody's chart, right? So thanks so much, Pisces, for joining me, and have a good one.